Hey everybody. Hey Chef Alton. Hey Sinistella. It is Monday. Adam is going to... I want to finish up some quick stuff. I hope it's quick stuff. Finish up some hopefully quick stuff from last week. And then shift into working on skill trees. Well, yeah. Right now, there are 4 skill buttons per class that are unlocked immediately. We want more of a tree. Yeah. Where's the emoji picker? It's really unreliable to spawn this thing. Okay, there we go. Hey Kevin, hey Dark. All right, but we're going to take a tiny detour through tenant land. Let's go do this. Tenant review. Didn't I write something about getting rid of this? Probably drop this while I'm feeling like I'm sort of in crunch mode. Yeah, I probably should. All right, yeah, we're gonna retire this one. At least just for now. Retired on today. Rationale for the, well, this just won't be a priority anytime soon. And yet it's still something that I'm trying to work toward in my free time. I'm at least not generating fluff to do items as much. So I think this has largely been working well. And I just need to stop spewing Skeleseller tasks everywhere. All right, yeah. Retired the post stream to do tenant. So sustainability, how are we doing on that? Yeah, I think this has been good. I've been putting in extra time, but I don't think there have been any major repercussions. Then again, I do feel like I was a bit sluggish on Friday, but that could have just been a sleep problem. Yeah, we'll see how this week goes. Bricklaying, going great. There are lots of sucky tasks that I'm still working through. And successes. Okay, so hey Phil. This is gonna sound a little bit silly, but I was in someone else's stream the other day and just thought that the very fact that there is a community here is a success that I don't celebrate often. It's especially been great with respect to feedback, e.g. the checkpoint number 3 feedback. But also the game is progressing nicely itself. Successes all around. Okay. Yeah, so that's it, tenants. I just like to keep myself honest every week, make sure I'm sticking to the things I find important. So now let's take a look at the stuff I need to clean up. Yeah, Skelegiggle, if only. It might be a spooky looking emote. Hey, Magnetic Bind. So these tasks are ones that I think are important enough to do now, or else they'll probably never get done. And they're not hopefully super long tasks. This one is probably the hardest one. And I started working on this yesterday. And I just need to finish. But then we're going to get to skill trees. I may or may not do PRs. I think I should save that for Tuesday, actually. PRs, yeah. Okay. So this one is cleaning up these listeners from dialogues. And the dialogues themselves make this a little bit difficult to do because of the ownership of them. And I think this is maybe a little bit weird. So basically, there's some owner of the dialogue, or maybe spawner of the dialogue, I should say. So maybe a signpost spawns a build guild dialogue. then the dialogue itself has these listeners like on build and on close, and it frees itself, I think. Is that even true? Where's the free happen? Oh, it doesn't happen from here. I don't know. The signpost frees it. Hey, unknown. Hey, TJ. Skills are going to expand from top to bottom, then it should technically be called a skill roots. No, it's going to expand from bottom to top. That way people have to scroll in a different direction just so that the term is accurate. Here you formulate. Rare morning stream watch. Yeah. Well, happy Monday, everybody. Hope you all had a good weekend. I have done a lot in the last week or two, I feel. And even yesterday, I look at kind of what happened, and I've been trying to catch up socially once we got back from our vacation. I feel like I'm finally doing that. I'm reaching out to people again that I just haven't been able to contact in a while. But also yesterday, I went to the library for like an hour and just sorted through a bunch of to-do items that I had. And then I spent a tiny bit of time on code. I think Minecraft literally does expand from bottom to top. I don't remember a skill tree in Minecraft. The only thing I remember that looked like a tree like that was achievements, I think. And even that, I don't remember the direction. Yeah, I can't recall. All right, anyway, in this case, the spawner listens to on close and freeze it. Why does it even do this? If it's always going to be an on close, why doesn't the dialogue do this? Also, wait a second. What happens when you build this? I'm a little confused. Let's look at the guild dialogue. I think this is just a mistake the more I think about this. Or guild sign, I mean. Yeah, it means everything that calls this has its own queue free in here. This doesn't make sense. Queue free, queue free, queue free. It's freeing everything. Oh man, this is a mistake. Yeah, this has just got to be a mistake. And then in this one, we only freed this because the storeroom sign sticks around. Oh man. Get out of your work Christmas lunch? Oh, you have to travel for it? I was going to say, if you didn't have to travel for it, I can't imagine wanting to not go to those. But yeah, if you have to go into work, it makes sense. The achievements go from left to right. All right, get out of the stream, unknown. That's it. I can't handle this misinformation. Bottom to top. Preposterous. Yeah, so I have learned now that this is not smart. I just never, I never looked through this. So what's happening is every time we call build, we free. Oh wait, no, not every time we call build. No, we do. Yeah, every time we call build, we free the dialogue, and in this way, we free it indirectly because it's a child of this whatever this is, a guild sign, and we free the guild sign. This is not smart. Yeah. And I am glad I slept and then looked at this because I wouldn't have noticed this otherwise. So what we need to do instead is whenever we build or close this is when we want to free this thing. So let's put this here. And now the calling classes don't even need to do this, which I guess is only a problem with the storeroom. Oh man. Yeah, this doesn't need to happen. And now, yeah, this can be simplified. Anything else? That's fine. That's fine. That's not fine. Okay. Hey, Mystical Cell. Only here for 10 minutes. I just keep thinking AGM life. No more energy drinks. But yeah, hi. Will there be Steam achievements? Even if it's just one for beat the game? I do want to have Steam achievements, yeah. There are lots of these sorts of things where I just keep thinking, like, where's the time going to come from? Even checkpoint number 4, we just kind of ballparked like November 8th or something like that. That's a month from now. It's yeah, it's October 7th. That is not a lot of time to get skill trees working, all the skills redesigned, like balance, blah blah blah. I don't I think we should probably aim for a later time for this. And I'm not trying to think about it too much. I don't think it's important that I set this time in stone yet. Where is this thing? Checkpoint number 4 here. Okay, so yeah, skill trees, that's what we're going to probably start today. Get customers, act like customers, boss monsters. It's like some of these things might go a little faster than I think. I don't think skill trees can go faster than I think, though, because there's the UI work, but then there's redesign every single class and make sure it makes sense. Sound effects shouldn't actually be too bad because Dark's been doing some work on this. And yeah, then we have a bunch of other things here. Anyway, yeah, it's just gonna be tough. And I wanted to make another music track amongst all that. Quite a lot of work. Okay, so the next thing we need to look at is the onClose handler. And there's only one, and it's here, and that frees the dialogue, and it shouldn't do that anymore. Yeah, either way, no matter what thing you click here, it's gonna close this thing. Oh, wait a second. Oh my God, no, that's not how this works, because you need to know if this thing was successful. You might not have the money to build it, in which case you don't close the dialogue. No, in which case the dialogue should not be clickable. Do you already have some inspiration for the UI? No, we have quite a lot of work to do for that. Oh, wait, you mean for the skill tree? I was thinking just something like Diablo 2, World of Warcraft, like typical, you know, start at the top, work your way down to the bottom. I don't want to do something like Path of Exile where you have this sprawling, you start in a random node in the middle of a graph and you work your way outward and around and through time. All right, I need to see what happens when you have money and then you lose the money you need for this thing. But still, I don't think this should be here. Okay, let's go take a look. I haven't even fixed everything yet. Yeah, I want to see if these signs are working correctly. All right, so if we click grant money, we're gonna get way too much money. Is there any way to spend all of this? I don't think so. Each adventurer gives or costs what? 5,000? Wait, how is that possible? 500, excuse me. Yeah, so we can train all of these. But that's going to bring us down to 6,500 or so. Yeah, then can we even spend the rest? I don't think we can. Maybe this. But I think at this point, it just makes more sense to have that grant money or modify money 10,000, which is here. If we just have this be 600, that'll work. +1 power node. I think when we design skill trees, we got to figure out, are we okay with that sort of skill in the tree? And I think it's silly. Well, at least I think it's silly to have maybe like 5 of those nodes, but maybe it does make sense to have like a one, you know, like a +5 power node, or maybe +10% power. There could be stat modifications in there. Do I have any of this written down? Make adventurer skill trees. Yeah. Should you get stats in the tree? Be interesting to see if you have to end up implementing scrolling here. I think we will. And the reason why is that the smallest window size is this. Could we fit every single skill we want in a dialogue like this? Right now, here's what we're taking up. And like if we only had 4 skill choices, yes, we could. But as we start to flesh this out a little bit, I don't think it's all going to fit. So I think we will need some scrolling. But maybe not. Maybe we figure out the height of the skill tree and we don't have a problem. like a mini branch next to each skill or in between. Yeah, it could be done. It's just, is it fun to do that, or should we balance the game around you just having the stats? And part of what makes me think about this is, let's say you have a class like the warrior, you might find it interesting to choose between power and fortitude. Maybe you're going for more of a tanky build and you want to choose this one. That's the only time I could see it being meaningful. Honestly, for DPS classes, I just feel like adding power is kind of stupid. So like everyone would probably pick this. And I guess that's where we need to come up with the high level of this. Need to come up with the high level vision. Namely, do we only want meaningful choices? Yeah. The shape of a skeleton. That would be funny. Although it's for the adventurers, and the adventurers are not. Well, they have skeletons. They just aren't skeletons. All right, this needs to happen for dialogue. So we're now that I wrote this out, I wonder if I feel differently about this. Dialogue itself has on build on close. Oh yeah, I never tested this part though. I needed to grant myself money and then click this. The build button is enabled. Now we're going to train this a bunch of times. And it is not disabled. So what happens when you click build? It says not enough money. And it doesn't close the dialogue. How is that possible? How is that possible? Enchanter's sign. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, right here. We have a not enough money thing before even checking if we've built. Okay, I feel like the dialogue should just disable you from doing this. They would need to listen for when you get money, which is easy enough to do. So let's just write that down. That's a separate cleanup thing. I'm gonna write this here. Minor cleanup. Build dialogue should listen to the money changing in the town, and then enable or disable the build button appropriately. All right, well, it's working. So what happens if we have enough money and we click build? Yeah, everything's fine there. Okay, but what does this change? Take care, Mystical Cell. Yeah. Yeah, I should be online for the usual amount of time today. So maybe see you in like 4 hours. Okay, what has a proper listener and cleans it up correctly? I guess let's search for minus equal. Just want to make sure I'm not doing anything stupid here. Do this, do this. I guess search for on maybe. Yeah, navigation system. So we set up, we listen to something else's event here. Yeah, so this is the typical flow. Like navigation system listens to an event from another class, so it needs to dispose of those listeners. Hey, M2. And in this dialogue flow, hey, Z-Wubs, in this dialogue flow, is it the same at this point? The dialogue, or the spawner of the dialogue listens to some events, and then it should be able to clean them up. I guess the problem is that we didn't save the dialogue off. It's the same flow, we just don't save the dialogue. So again, let's look at this. Here, yeah, we have spawn dialogue, we have the instance here. So what we could do is save off the instance, and then when this thing gets freed, we would listen for it. But we're not listening to an event. No, we are listening to an event. We just happen to own the thing that has a life cycle. and it handles freeing itself. Shouldn't events be self-cleaning? They're not. Yeah, I actually just found a link for this though, right here. So disconnecting automatically when the receiver is freed. There is no automatic disconnection when you have a lambda expression that captures a variable. So this is kind of sucky because you can have automatic disconnection if you're not capturing a variable in a lambda expression, possibly if you just don't even have a lambda, well, definitely if you don't have a lambda expression. So here's what I think is kind of bad is that you can write something like this, some like instance.on something plus equal auto cleanup method. This is totally fine. If in the future you come in here and you're like, you know what, no, we need this to be a lambda, let's do this, whatever, do something with a captured variable. All of a sudden you've made it so that you aren't cleaning this up anymore. And it might not be on your mind when you do this. And that's what I'm worried about, which is, well, yeah, I guess why I'm cleaning this stuff up now. There are other problems with using the Godot signals, namely the F12 just stops working. So for example, we have, where do we have this? Let's search for signal. Yeah, this ran out of money event handler. If I press F12 on this, it can't find any references. And the reason why is because it drops the name event handler and just calls it ran out of money. So that if I search for this, it's like, oh, here's where it's being used. But there's otherwise, you just can't find this. But you can with C# signals. It knows what the implementers are, or references, I should say. Yeah, so what makes this special? Dialogue is the same flow. We just don't save the dialogue. Also, the dialogue frees itself. So we need to listen to that event in order to disconnect listeners. Yeah. Yeah. I find the Godot signals a little less usable. Now, something I did not check is if you don't capture anything in a lambda and you're just using a plain old C# signal, does it clean itself up? I think the answer is no, it doesn't. But we have enough of these different cases where it's just best that we just clean it up ourselves anyway. Because there's no harm in calling this if it's not even subscribed. Anyway, trying to close the loop on this thing. So dialogue is the same flow. We just don't save the dialogue and the dialogue frees itself. Yeah, so for navigation system, we're listening to an event on some like longer system that we have. So I think that's why I want to stick to this style. But the more I think about it, the more I kind of wonder, like, does that even make sense? By the way, what I showed earlier is not actually totally fair. This will show some things. It'll just show it inside of these generated scripts, which is not helpful and doesn't even go anywhere. So, but yeah, it turns out that I need to restart VS Code, release the window. Now let me look through this one more time. So we subscribe here. We could clear out the subscription ourselves if we listen to a free call. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think I'm happy with this. I think we just need to write this down. So dialogues generally manage their own life cycle. E.g., you click close and the dialogue frees itself. This means that anything listening, this means that the spawner of the dialogue would have to listen to the dialogue, to a signal for the dialogue being disposed, I guess an event, in order to clean up any other listeners. I think it's just easier to have the dialogue itself manage the listeners. Yeah, that's it. That'll seal it for me. This will be, in the future, I'll be like, oh, that's why I did this. Can't plus equal a closure. You have to put a function name and define the function elsewhere. Do you end up binding arguments then with the function that you use? Or I guess passing in more information through a signal? Yeah, using dot bind. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, that's I think that's reasonable enough. I think they have something here about callables. Doesn't affect delegate targets, so connecting a lambda that captures variables using connect doesn't work any better than plus equal. Is callable dot from a lambda in C#? I don't even remember. It's not necessarily. It's just a function. It could be a lambda. Yeah, there might be a more elegant way of doing this. But for now, I think I'm going to finish working on this part. We have other dialogues, though, and I need to make sure that those look good, too. Text dialogue. What's this one doing? On close, freeze. And that's all we have, right? Yeah, on close. Okay, so what listens to this? Everything. Yeah, so this call is cube free, but then we don't clean it up. But nothing can free it again. But there's only going to be one listener for all of these things, right? So we could do the same style that we had. Yep. Yep. And some of these properly set this up and listen here. Ponder, build, guild, state dialogue. I think this is a mistake. Also, I even think this should have been inside dispose. Because we're not clearing up the handlers anyway. This is not smart. Oh, man. All right. Yeah, my bad. Let's go add in a dispose function. There. Is the game in a playable state? Yeah, it's playable. I wouldn't say it's great. I would definitely wait till the next checkpoint to play it. If you want to use like proper versioning information, it'd be like a v0.3, and we're working toward a v0.4 right now. So both are alphas. Both are going to be riddled with bugs and lack of polish. Hey, Grognosh, what platforms are you targeting? Is there a graphics engine? Platforms that we're targeting are just the sort of PC platforms. So these three. No mobile unless the game is successful. And no Steam Deck at first, probably, because that would involve controller support. And I don't know if this is going to be important. No, not web. No. Because it's going to be a paid game, and I think it's just much harder to distribute paid web games, especially if there is a Steam version. Yeah. And is there a graphics engine? Yes, of course, yeah. For reference, for those who've maybe not seen the game or not seen the game in a while, this is what the game looks like. It's building right now. Yeah. So what we're going to work on today, eventually, we're not there yet. We're going to work on skill trees that are in the game. But yeah, we're just cleaning up some of this dialogue stuff first. I still don't like this. I don't like this at all. There's just a whole bunch of code devoted to boilerplate. I think I'm just gonna stop working on this for now and make this its own task for later. Yeah. Okay. Dialogues have a whole bunch of boilerplate for cleaning up event handlers. Is there any way that we could get automatic disconnects for event handlers, e.g. maybe by not using capturing lambdas? Do regular lambdas work? Can we just bind with callable.from? Then with whatever we decide, all other star dialog.cs files should probably be changed. I only modified build dialog and didn't like how much code had to be devoted to event handlers. Yeah, I think this is silly. Hey, Sammy. Yeah, that's the logo, or at least that's one of them. The other one is here. This is the store listing graphic. I really like it. No controller support, but the mouse pad works surprisingly well. Yeah, but do you know what Valve will do when it comes to listing the game with Steam Deck support? It'll probably put the little yellow symbol, right? Like it can be played, but it's not optimized. Hey, Goose. The feeling it would also work well. I think it would work. And hey, Herb, or Herb, let me know if it's a pronounced H or it's like it doesn't exist, because I want to remember that for the future. Definitely won't advertise it works well on deck. Yeah, and I don't know what it would take to make this game controller friendly, because we have item dragging, and already dragging items I think would be annoying with a controller. Pronounce H, but I answered both. No, that is not acceptable. I'm going to pronounce it correctly. I don't know how to write that. We'll write it this way. Pronounced H. Yeah. Okay, Herb. Gotcha. Okay, so I think we're going to check this in and then not deal with this anymore. Yeah, but I just really, really hate the look of this. It's like 20 lines of code are devoted to just cleaning up event listeners, and it shouldn't be that way. Oh, also, this should be checked in on its own. Remove unused file. Yeah. Okay, all that looks good. Revert this. Yeah, so clean up, build. Dialog listeners. This resulted in so much boilerplate code that I want to go back to the drawing board before doing this with other files. Such a shame. Such a shame. Okay, well, whatever. All right, this next one should be just dead simple. We have a 3 tuple somewhere, and where did I even do that? Some enchant or build mod thing, right? God, I don't even remember what it was. But if I search for comma string question mark, I should find it. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, we're just gonna make a record struct out of this. So what is this thing? An item category, a battle mod ID, and then the duration text. And this is used where? Here, here, and here. So this is like battle mod tooltip info. Yeah, I like that. Battle mod tooltip info. See what Godot has for it out of the box. I've never tried, but it does some basic UI wiring for controllers. Yeah, the thing I guess I'm concerned about, because map movement, I guess, could be easy enough. You could bind that to one stick. I think that'd be reasonable. But what would you do about dragging items? Because some games give you a virtual cursor and you're using the controller to like move it to something like this and then click and drag just like you would with a mouse. But it's not usually all that ergonomic. And then some games do it so that like, oh, you can sort of almost like tab to buttons. So if I have, or sorry, tab to items. So if I have the cursor here and I press the right arrow, it would bounce over to here and then here and then here. And I would press A or B or something like that. And then I'd press left and it would move it to the available slot. I think that's what we'd have to do. So we need some way of knowing how these are laid out visually so that when you press down, it goes down to this. But then it assumes that you always know the destinations for the items. And right now you do. But let's say you could just drop the item here arbitrarily. Like then that system would break. Yeah. Oh well, anyway. All right, let's go look at where I've done this before. And then put this into wherever we have. Where did that file go? I'll just close everything else we have open right now. All right, what was it that I was searching for? Comma, string, question mark? Yeah, here. Okay, where are you located? Battle mods. All right, so we'll just save this. This is where it would be helpful to have this on my clipboard. We'll save this here. We will write the name of this here and then go wipe all of this stuff out. Cool. All right, now what does this have in it? This has an item category, a battle mod ID, and a string question mark. All right, so item category, obvious name, item category. Battle mod ID, obvious name, battle mod ID. String question mark. This was the duration string. And then I want to capitalize all of these, I guess. That doesn't work. There we go. Delete the comment that we have. Import this. Put the pragma right next to this. Why was there an extra space there? Oh, because the comment? Weird. Could we have done this without the extra space? Does it complain at us? Huh. Okay, well, I guess it doesn't matter. I don't really care about that. Hey, yo. Have you been enjoying C#? I think generally, yes. I run into a case every once in a while where VS Code just stops working. Like I'll press F12 on something and it won't find the references to it. So I need to reload VS Code. That's annoying. And it's not like it's a very costly fix. It's just something I feel like I shouldn't have to do. That's not C#'s problem, by the way. I think the only thing with C# I'm a little annoyed by is the not automatic removal of events. But I've got to just come up with a solution for that. Or a paradigm, I guess. Not even necessarily a way of addressing the current issue that we have. Anyway, battle mod tooltip info. We're going to put this over here now. Every time we use this. And let's make sure we get all of these. So here, 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 and here. Yeah. And now all of those are going to be broken, which is totally fine. Because, yeah, instead of item 1, item 2, we're going to do item category. Oh, they're tuples of... Okay, yeah, well, that's not going to work. In fact, actually, if we just search for this, we'll find them all. Good. Good. Not good. Good. Yeah. All right, nice. Okay, now go back to all these and then fix this up. So this is item category. This is battle mod ID. Then get battle mod description. Should probably just take in a battle mod tooltip info now, right? So that we can just pass this thing in. Yep. And then get it all from here. All right, not too bad. Duration string. And this. Okay, so this one class should be finished now. Oh, except for this. Mods by descending. Item 1. This doesn't exist. It's, what was it? Item category? Yeah. Typing reload. Oh, so it happens with a lot of things. And Elm. Oh, man. How do you get inline warnings and errors? Do I have a command for this? Let me see. Yeah, here. Yeah, and by the way, I did a video on some of the extensions I use in VS Code that I think other people would like or benefit from. And it only covers 5, and one of them is error lens. I only share that because you might find something you find like that you also want to use from that. Okay, so here we're just converting this into a list of mods, which is all going to have null here. That's fine. Here is the same general thing. I guess crystals could have a way of getting the tooltip info. And then the den wouldn't have to get this. Yeah, we could just make a public, where do we do this? Public battle mod tooltip info. Tooltip info. This almost worked. Where do we get the item category for this thing? Oh, this is the den. What am I doing? Enchanter Crystal needs it. Yeah. Item category, active mod, and duration string. Is this what this is even called here? I hope so. See. Justin, thanks for the raid. Welcome in, everybody. Justin, have I seen your stream? I'm trying to think. Wait. I don't ever do this, but I'm going to pull this up really fast. I don't recall. No, I'm not following you, so that means I probably haven't rated you before. Yeah. Well, welcome in, everybody. I'm working on a game called Skeleseller. Yeah, I was going to say, a lot of times the way it works when you've got any two streamers streaming together is that one of them can never raid the other person because of the timings of the streams. So it's like there are people who sort of raid me, and then I go raid a set of different people, and I try to follow. Well, good luck on the launch, yeah. Have you gotten feedback on the game yet from friends and everything? Because I think that was like the greatest thing I did for Skeleseller was the checkpoint system of, you know, launch an occasional alpha and get feedback and address it. But playtesting with viewers, yeah, cool, yeah. If I hadn't done this, I think we just keep running into the case where you get the same feedback over and over. And the problem with if you've launched a game, of course, is that then you get reviews, and if the reviews are negative, then yeah, there's not much you can do. Although actually, I wonder how hard it is. Steam aggregates the reviews and then gives you a score. So they might say something like mostly negative or overwhelmingly positive or something like that. How hard is it if you get some rating to make your next version's ratings better than that? So if you are in the mostly negative or mixed, because I wonder if players just kind of run away from the game. Yeah. Well, hopefully it's not too bad. Anyway, did the stream go well, Justin? Are you stressed or are you excited? Or both, I guess. They do sort by recent, but what I mean is if you saw a game on Steam, just a random game, and it was mixed, you probably wouldn't download it, right? So as soon as it gets negative, that probably stops more people from going and exploring it to find out that it's improved a lot. So you're kind of counting on the players who already bought it probably to help boost those ratings. That's my guess. Like I said, I'm sure Valve knows all the data on this. I don't think they would have shared it probably. Yeah, the last thing I was doing here was this, which is getting the tooltip info, I think. C.tooltip info. There it is. Okay, so this is nice. Is there not a way to just call tooltip info? I guess not, because this is technically a property. But if we made this a get tooltip info and did it this way, then I think we could. And then it would complain about the name. No, it does not work that way. Okay, well, whatever. I just want to try that out. Pretty stressed. Trying to finish localization. Oh, you're localizing it. Oh, cool. Yeah. I was going to say, I'm saving localization to see, I'm waiting to see if the English version is going to be good. And part of it is I only really speak English, so I can't localize it myself into other languages. I can do all the localization sort of infrastructure work, but I don't even think that's worth doing for me for right now. Property should not follow a method. Yeah. Let's put this up here. Okay, that looks better. this is based on what? These mods. Okay, yeah, this is also fine. Happy to help with Spanish. Well, thank you. I'll write it down. But I don't know. I guess I'll just write it down in this. Oh, nice. I already do have some of these. D-date, Twitch. There we go. No takesy backsies. Hey, Pressel. I hope the stress clears up, Justin. I launch is certainly a stressful and exciting time. And yeah, I just, it's like all of the work you've been doing kind of comes down to 1 week or 1 month. Can't believe it's already Saturday. Yeah, I know. Crazy how time flies when you're living in an alternate universe. Okay, I think we're done with this. Let's try it out. Also, Smack, you said you came here from YouTube. What video did you find out of curiosity? Or are you saying, maybe I misunderstood. Maybe you're saying you subscribed on YouTube from having watched a Twitch stream. In case you need help with German, let me know. Well, thanks, Alfred, both for that and for the resub. I appreciate it. I will also write this down. Twitch. Cool. Next fast actual release, yeah. Yeah. Well, fun times. Fun times for sure. All right, so all we need to do is get the enchanter and try putting an item there. Oh, I fixed the bug, by the way, where that tooltip would go away. And now we should see the same thing here. Yeah, perfect. Okay, I'm happy with this. Oh, after I link the YouTube video. Got you. Yeah. Ask for help with finish. Okay. I'm not trying to solicit this, by the way. I just happen to have this open and other people see me. Oh, why did I type a dagger? And other people are seeing me type this. I think one of the things that's probably tough about localizing is, let's say we have a pun like Skeleton. So in English, I can tell that this is obviously the most hilarious pun you could possibly have. But if we're talking about Finnish, someone could come up with something and maybe it's great, but I wouldn't know and I wouldn't be able to judge it. And there's no way you can get to know. You can't just translate a word. You'd have to go talk to a bunch of Finnish people and say something like, is this a funny pun? Is this the most hilarious pun you could come up with? All right, yo, I will not write your name down. Okay, this is good. I just wanted to have this not be a mega tuple all over the place. Make a proper record struct. I was using a 3 tuple everywhere. I know some Russian if it helps. I think I need someone who would probably say like, I know all of the Russian. I've memorized the Russian dictionary. So that one I won't write down, but I do appreciate it. Oh yeah, and then this could be a suffix, as I think Kevin had mentioned, and I didn't actually do that. And that's all we're ever using this for, right? I guess we just search for this. It is right here. Yeah. Yeah, let's call this suffix, I guess. Did it break something? I don't know if it did. But I want to write a comment here talking about what suffix is. This will be put after the description. Well, maybe if not null. It's typically used for the remaining time of the enchantment. Okay. I think something must have gone wrong here. No, you create these without names, so I think it should be fine. Never play video games with finished text. Never thought about that. I wonder if this is like how some people watch shows with dubbed audio versus subtitles. Rip life bar. How are you testing bosses? I wonder if we should. Mm, yeah, never mind. Yeah, I was gonna say I wonder if we should put the text in a different spot or the life bar. I see you've also set it so that you can have 6 adventurers for this. That makes for quite the battle. Am I a Dragon Ball Z fan? I was just commenting on this the other day. I liked Dragon Ball Z, but even as I was watching it, I realized how little show there actually is for how much time the show runs for. In any 20-minute episode, I don't even know that's how long episodes were. You could count on roughly like 3 frames of animation. And the rest of it was just like the camera panning and them making various grunts and power-up sounds. It's just a very slow moving show. Real vehicle for commercials, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I think it was cool. All right, this is done. Increase the size of the crystal icon in battle. Yeah, that was. Did I just close this already? I did. Okay, well, let's go unlock a couple of these things. I don't even remember where I wrote this. There's a README file over here, though. And there it is. So we want this to be in here. Whoa, what happened? And then we need items to be on the ground. So I guess where's grant most things? Yep, and then we need to actually give you the items. Grant items, yeah. That way we can just drag one of these. And then we need to start a battle. That part's easy enough. German puns with skeleton in town. Well, I guess the other thing too, and this is the problem with a lot of translations, is that you can't just translate directly because maybe it's just not as common to experience humor or rhythm or an idea in a certain way in a language. So it's like, is there a language out there where most of the speakers don't appreciate puns? Because I remember hearing somewhere that, like in Japanese, a lot of the words rhyme. I don't know if this is true. I don't know almost any Japanese, but apparently a lot of words rhyme, or it's easy enough to rhyme, where Japanese music doesn't focus on rhyme structure as much as English music does. Again, I have no idea if that's true, but that's a kind of thing where it's just, oh, okay, I guess you need to come up with a different way if you're making music or you're making poetry. All right, so what we want to do is we want to increase the size of this crystal, and increasing the size of it is not hard. It's getting it to be positioned so it doesn't go off the screen that's hard. Germans do not have humor. German people have humor. Talk to enough German people. I know, obviously, that you're speaking from the stereotype about this, but yeah. Battle mods icon. Yeah, here it is. All right, so we make this larger. Oh. Do I have to put this? How do I do this? Maybe I put it in a container and then I make the container larger? Would that work? Layout, transform. No, I can't change this either. I guess we can change the minimum size, but I could have changed it over here too. Yeah, minimum size. We just make this, what is it currently? It's 32 by 64. And then if this weren't in a center container, how would it look? No different. Well, I guess it technically shaves off some of the separation there. But let's see what this looks like in the game now. Yeah. Hey, Kappa. I forgot I had that turned on. I don't want that on. I also forgot I left that as pink. It doesn't matter, but it's the kind of change it's just superfluous. We don't even need to, we didn't even need to have a buff. Yeah, here, this is the problem. So it went off the screen. Why is it doing that? Oh, because this is all inside of a 2x view already. But did it change the position? It does change the position. How do we not have that happen? I mean, I guess we could just move this upward. But is there a way to make this... What do I want to do? I don't even know. Oh, yeah, I know what we want to do. We want to anchor this to the bottom. That's it. Yeah. This is in a totally different canvas layer, though. And nothing knows the size of this. I mean, another thing we could do is we could just move this. We could just do one of these. And then it should be visible. Did I not hide that? Oh, I know what happened there. Okay, let's see. Yeah, this did not take effect. Do we need to save it? Do I need to... If I drag this right now? Yeah, no, it moves it there. Okay, so we just want to move the... Oh, there it goes. Repeat battle. Keeps going back down to the bottom. What? I'm so confused about what is going on with this thing. Maybe something's positioning it? But what would be doing that? I can't think of what would be doing that. I don't know. All right, let's get it to the point where I was actually fine with it. And then let's just restart the whole thing and see if that does anything. This is just messed up. All right, I'm gonna restart this. Yeah, whatever. Okay, this is definitely the easiest thing to do. We just position this where I want it. And then when this thing is hidden, we hope that it looks good. I don't want to put a lot of thought into this right now. If it looks good here, then yeah, we're fine. Okay, so that's when flee is enabled. What happens if you have auto battle enabled? Auto battle, win, auto battle. Yeah, it's a little too far to the side, I'd say. Oh, wait, no, that's a total problem because the buff thing is off to the side as well. Oh, because this is all centered regardless. Oh, it's just a mistake. It's just a mistake. We really should be anchoring this. Oh, the problem is it's got to know what the size of the instance slot is. Okay, so then I think I know what we have to do. We need to align these things. Yeah. So how big is this? 640 by 288. All right, 640 by 288. That's what we should make the size of this. 640 by 288. And then somehow position this correctly. Maybe at 0, 0 at this point. And now, if I'm not mistaken, this will actually be at the bottom right of the window because it's scaled by 2x, I think. I'm not positive, and it doesn't look like it's that way, but I might need to restart this. The PR changes the size. Yeah. That's something that should be easy enough to do in a little bit. Oh, no, this is centered. Oh. Wait, what? How is it centered, though? I thought there was a 2x scale or something, and I... No, maybe not, because I added a canvas layer? Oh, okay. Well, then it should be pretty easy. So yeah, now we can just anchor all of this to the bottom left. No, it's inside a container, so we can't do that. We need to make this be a control and not a center container. God. Stella. All right, so now this can be positioned at the bottom left. Yeah, and then we can just give it a little bit of an offset here. think just something like that and like that. All right, now what if this is visible? No, it bumps it upward. I don't want it to do that. I guess I just always wanted to take up the size as though this is there, in which case we would just set the minimum size of this HBox container to be whatever the current size is. 64 pixels, yeah. So we just set this to 64, and then whether or not this is on or off doesn't make a difference. Okay, that was it. That's all I wanted to do. There's one other tiny thing, I guess, which is that the crystal graphic is not aligned here. So I kind of want to bump this down a little smidge. And I don't know how to do that. Yeah, we'd have to not have it be in a center container. I guess the center container doesn't even do anything, so I guess get rid of that. Yeah, just delete this thing. And we still can't change where this thing is located. You can change the region. Wait, what if I do this? Oh, yeah, margin. Okay, cool. All right, so how many pixels should that be? Where is the crystal graphic? Here it is. And how tall is just the crystal? It's 27. So we have 5, so it should be 2.5. Okay, so let's set it to 2. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, now let's try that in the game. All right. I think I like it. If we click flee, it goes off to the right. Perfect. And if we have auto battle enabled, I should probably start a battle with an actual thing. Cancel auto battle. Yeah, good. And let's do that and repeat. Nice. I like it. Hey, Grace. It is going well. I have a tiny feeling in the back of my head that I may be overworking because I'm pretty sure my brain was working better before like Friday of last week. But then again, I've also kind of messed up my sleep schedule a little bit, and that's much more likely to have an impact. But yeah, let's see how today goes. All right, so make crystal icon in battle bigger. It was 16 by 32, which was sort of hard to see. Now it's 2x that size. Good. And the final thing, make enchanter states inherit from a common class since they all pretty much have the same code. State should probably automatically close and free the dialogue on leaving just in case something happens. Yeah. Hey, Matt. Yeah, skill trees, we're going to start right after this task, which I don't think should take very long. So there's a bunch of enchanter states. I don't remember what we called any of them, so let's go to the enchanter and see. Standby, greeting, tell about pots. Oh yeah, you know something else I haven't looked at in a little while is, was there any extra feedback on checkpoint number 3? Let me see. No, I don't think so. Here was the overall view of the game from the feedback we got. So the very first question, I had fun playing the game. You can see the agree and strongly agree portion are the large majority of the circle now, but this also probably biases things. So how'd you find out about Skeleseller? Most people know me and or watch me, and that means that there's probably some bias there. But I'm not going to just keep doing surveys with people who are watching the stream. I'm going to eventually branch out, and I just need to figure out how I'm going to do that. Okay, so we go into standby here. This does not have any issue. I guess the other 3 do. And this should be something where it's like you click in order to, oh no, you don't even click. It's just show dialogue immediately state. And this keeps track of the dialogue. And when you leave, it subtracts this closed thing. And then also, I guess, queue free the dialogue if it hasn't already been freed. I do an AOC? I don't think so. I really think it's important that I focus as much as I can on Skeleseller. Hey, Titanium. Did you change your name color? One thing about market research is nothing. There is no fun part. I I like parts of it. And yeah, Sinstella, that would be nice of you. I hope it's not unwelcome in that Discord. But yeah, I want to get some extra eyes on the game. In fact, I wonder if I should release a version that has a survey that's different from all the other ones. That way I could somehow only give that version to people I don't know. Yeah, sorry, Puka. I just need to make sure I'm getting this stuff done. That's all. And I am a little concerned about time. All right, so do we have any other states that do this? Ponder, build, guild state. This does it, but it does some slightly different things here. Yeah. All right, I'm going to just make a state for this then. I think it's fine. So we'll make a show text dialogue, or maybe like a text dialogue state, base state. Yeah. Okay, so text dialogue base state. And what do we need? We need two things here. No, three things. So we need the text, the close button text, or maybe we call it like main text and close button text, and then also the state to transition to. Could we make that? Let's not worry about that yet. Yeah, let's just have it be that. Okay, so here's what we do. We say main text, close text. And then here we transition into state to transition to. And all looks good. Now we go have the other things inherit from this. We have this one, greeting. This is going to be a text dialog state. Yeah. There. And then delete this stuff. Ask me, am I the tour guide? I said no. Now she's asking what country you live in. This sounds like a scam, just so you know. This is one of those like, hey, I accidentally messaged you kinds of things, and then, oh, well, as long as I've got you here, and then they're really friendly and nice, and then they start saying like, hey, have you ever thought investing money? So just be very careful about that. Hey, APX, and no worries. Hi, and bye. Yeah, I'm not like super up to date on scams, but I used to read this scam subreddit, and it was very common that people would be like, hey, I need to get you those papers or something. And then you'd respond with like, oh, sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. They'd be like, oh, well, as long as I have you here, you seem nice. Let me keep talking. I'm just interested to see what it's about. Are they trying to fish you or what? It's almost certainly going to lead to some kind of investment website, I think. Yeah. Numbers on public record. Yeah, I have a tendency. I think my wife now calls at like roughly the same times every day, and I have a tendency to answer like instantaneously. And sometimes I've done that without even seeing who's calling, because I just assume, oh, it's gonna be my wife calling, and it's not, and I have to hang up the phone really fast. Hey, Greenstack. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's a mix up. And I think probably at some point in history that sort of thing did happen. Oh, I dialed the wrong number. Oh, well, you seem nice, whatever. And there was like one or two non-scam instances of that. But I don't know when that's ever actually happened. All right, this should know what to do. My brain is like off right now. It really shouldn't be. And also this isn't working. Why not? Text dialogue base state. Yeah. All right, well, there we go. All right, we don't need any of those either. Cool. So we simplified all of the code in there. The only thing I'm not sure that I like is this being a string. We could pass in the class, but I guess it doesn't make a huge difference. If we were to pass in a class, how would we do this? I think we'd have to make this generic. So we make it a T, and we're T colon. It's got to be a game state. Node 2D. Does this work? And then we delete this, and we put this down here. Except for I don't even know how that works. It can't be name of. There's something wrong with that. I forgot. It was something about using generics with this. Type of some generic. Okay, type of name. Yeah, so type of t.name. Does that work? Okay, I think that does work. So now we would make this be generic on this and then delete this bit. The name cannot be used as a type parameter t. No implicit conversion to node 2D. Oh, what is that? It is a... Is it... What? Is it game state node 2D? Weird. I do not know the answer to this. Hey, Hanalicious. Welcome in, everybody. How'd the stream go? And hey, Muscle Man. Muscle Man, I responded to your whisper. I'm sorry for not having communicated ahead of time kind of what I was talking about. And hey, Batman. And Mojo. We be Raiders. So welcome in. I am working on a game called Skeleseller. And it's a game where you run a town and you send adventurers to do battle. And they earn items. And you sell the items. And you use the money to upgrade your town and your adventurers. Yeah, it's all good. Okay, yeah, cool. I would do a T node and then receive a game state T param. I guess what I could do, I don't really need that to be generic. I guess what I could have done is just this, just passed in a game state node 2D, state 2 transition to, and then did that down here, type of state to transition to, dot name. That won't work, will it? Okay, I don't care about the T is not used in class anymore. Could not be found. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I think it's that I'm not doing this on a generic. Helps me stay motivated. Lately, someone asked for a feature for one of my games, and that felt awesome. Nice. Nice. You fixed the overlapping shops? No, I have not fixed that yet. We've been working on mostly feature development, and I'll work on bug fixes in a bit. By the way, Hanny, if you're there, thank you. I do appreciate it. And I do hope your stream went well. Lurking like a boss. Work needs the sauce. Gotcha. I'll have a nice time. Albatross. Yeah, so this is failing. Non-generic type cannot be used with type arguments, text dialog based state. I guess we are messing this up in another spot too. Variable at get type. Get type. Okay, yeah. Should be good. Just enjoying learning. Okay, well, cool. Yeah. Totally fine. Pay your tech debt. I think it's an easy thing to say in concept, but if you look at my to-do list, it is currently 35 pages. And if I spent time working on tech debt at this point, I'd probably be spending like a month not making the game any better. And I just don't think that's a feasible way of pursuing this. In case you want to support receiving any game state. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I'm explicitly doing it this way because I only need this for now. And when I need it for something else, I will just change it for the something else. So in this case, we want to, oh wait, how do we even pass this in? How did I plan on doing this? Because I would need to pass in a state. And so we need to make a new tell about pots here, which is not smart. I don't want to do that. All right, whatever. I'm going to change it back to just the name, I think. Do you have a soft deadline? Not really. Just kind of as soon as possible while still having this be polished. Yeah. You guys updated this scammer? All right, yeah, I'd like to hear more, Prestel. 20 minutes a day is good enough. 20 minutes a day isn't good enough if you're generating more than 20 minutes to a day. And I don't think comments are typically the solution to tech debt. I think refactoring is typically the solution to tech debt. So, yeah, the way I look at it is if you're working on a fun project, it's do whatever you want. And maybe sometimes it's tech debt, and maybe sometimes it's features, and maybe sometimes it's some like random rabbit hole that doesn't need to be worked on at all. But if it's anything for a business, it's like you have priorities, and those priorities are driven by what moves the product forward. And sometimes you have untested trash that you just need to get out the door, and sometimes you need something high quality that your users are counting on the quality being good. So yeah, never unsub from events. No, I'm starting to do that more. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna go back to just the name of thing here. I just thought let's make this a little bit more type safe, but it's not worth doing. String state to transition to, so this just becomes this, and everything should work. Yeah. I'm not saying comments are a bad thing. I'm just saying I don't think comments are the typical cause of tech debt. I think most code should be self-documenting in that the what is obvious and the why might not be obvious. And for that, I tend to write a comment. So I have comments in the code base. There are some things where I don't think it's obvious, but I think some people get in this habit of like, okay, I'm gonna write, enters the state and handles a transit. And it's like, you don't need to write this. This does literally nothing for the code base. It actually probably hurts the code base because now you need to maintain this. Because what happens if you change this and you're like, oh, enter actually is the transition state now, and now the comments out of date needs to be maintained. And like most people just don't have a handle on updating documentation when they update code. Only ever sub once, is only clean up when you closing the program. Might as well not clean it up. Yeah, especially if there's anything that lasts for the lifetime of the game. Like right now, there's no title screen, so there's no way to leave the game and come back into it. So there's no way for you to sort of accumulate cruft. But eventually that will be the case, and it is something I want to take a look at eventually. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think we're done with this. I didn't actually test any of this. I really should have. Oh man. My brain. My brain. All right, let's try this out. So all I need to do is click here. Hi, I'm the enchanter. I can extract the essence from an item into magical effects for your adventurers. Drag an item onto a pot in order to start this process. You'll destroy the item when you do so, and any battles that you start will gain the effects. If you want to overwrite the current effects, simply drag a new item onto the pot. Cool. Yeah, it's working. Halo announcement. What was announced? Let's find out. It's a new era for Halo. Oh, they're just moving to Unreal. From what, I wonder? I'm not going to click any of the other links right now, but what were they using before? Now they ask what city you live in. Yeah, this is looking good. We deleted a bunch of code. I mean, that's the important part. That's all I wanted to do. Let's go check that stuff in. And let's, oop, I just clicked the wrong button. I did. Let's just delete that. Okay, so refactor enchanter states. They were all doing the same thing, so they now have the same base class. Slip space. Oh, cool. Yeah. Did you get a suggestion that you should be able to set the quantity of builds? Oh, no, I didn't get the suggestion actually, but I wrote that down myself. And I think we have that here. Trying to think. Yeah, well, what I was thinking of doing was actually just there's a build button and then there's like a build times 3 or something. 3 being sort of the magic number of if you want it twice, just click the build button twice. And if you want 3 or more, then click the build times 3 multiple times. But also a lot of this needs to be rebalanced. Like the storeroom holding 64 items. I don't know if that ever makes sense. Yeah. I don't know if it ever makes sense. But some of that's just balance stuff we're gonna have to do. Okay, anyway, this stuff's done. So now we're on to skill trees, and the most important thing to do is some design. In fact, we might be in design the rest of this morning because this is not gonna be easy. Yeah, you should be like, oh, Abu Dhabi, I meant, and then just say a different country and see if she's really visiting there in 2 months. Oh, we don't even have more iterations. Okay, well, whatever, it doesn't matter. All right, so let's start this. Let's go make a new document, actually. Let's go find my old document, which was what, equipment? We're gonna make one about skills. I just gotta figure out where I put this. I'm doing this off screen for a second, give me a sec. Okay, so here's our new document. Let's copy this into here. Design document here. Yeah. 16. Thank you, Funky Monkey. Welcome back. Mentoring schedule. We're not checking this because it's supposed to be today, right? I sure hope not. Okay, yeah. Yeah, the next mentoring thing is on the 21st. Rami was supposed to have one this Wednesday, but he needed to move it. So now we have no mentoring this week. All right, so design document here. We're going to call this revamped skill trees. And let's start by taking a picture of the existing skill trees. I just want to zoom out so I can do this. Yeah. There we go. Well, actually, I'm going to be a little bit particular about this. Okay. So background, here's what skill trees look like in the game as of checkpoint number 3. Yeah, and then let's shrink this because that is way too large. Okay, so some stuff needs to stay the same in the UI. You need to be able to choose which class you want to see the skill tree for. You need to see stats. You need to be able to train the adventurer. But then I want to change the tree itself. This document is about planning how that should work. Oh, right. No, you didn't miss yours. Then it's good for you to check for sure. Just terrified me for a little bit thinking, oh God, do I have something to do in like half an hour and I've forgotten? Focus of the game. Yep. Okay, so these are the big questions that I have. Questions. Actually, you know what we can do? We can copy from Markdown and then paste. Oh, they turned into checkboxes. All right, well, can I change this? Yes. All right, how do prerequisites work? I had a note written down that we don't need prerequisites like Diablo 2. It could instead be that you need X total points. Should you get stats in the tree? Do we want only meaningful choices? How many skill points do we expect you to have? Do you get, oh darn it, changing the style of the list. I don't want it to do that. Do you get 1 per level? That means that this is always going to be a checklist, right? No, maybe not. Yeah, should you get stats in the tree? E.g., should there be a plus 10% power option? What do you mentor on? I help new grads with job prep, but that's become overwhelmingly difficult recently. It's mostly career mentoring. In that mentoring sheet, each of these are links to the videos. And I'm not saying this because I want you to go watch like 20 videos or something. But if you were to just skim to a random time in a random part of the video, you'd kind of see what's going on. But yeah, I think it's mostly career mentoring. Okay. I guess other questions we have are, how tall should the UI be? Can we try to fit everything onto or into one page? All right, so Why don't we just look at the rogue when we're planning all of this stuff? So let's write down what the rogue has right now. Rogue as of checkpoint number 3. So execute, this was their class defining passive ability. Kills enemy when their life is less than 10% or thereabouts. I don't know, it's close enough. This is their active number 1, which is deals small damage to a single target very rapidly or with low cooldown. Then the mods were crit, add a chance to crit, and what was the other one? Quicker strike. Quicker strike, which is lower the cooldown. And then we had Cloak of Shadows. This is a buff that raises attack power and dodge percent. And our 2 things for that are stealth, make it last longer, and precision, increase the buff efficacy or potency. Sustain it basically all the time. Oh, it stacks. So when you get multiple, it will actually apply the effect multiple times. So if you were to just fully max this out, like I put 5 points into here and 5 points into here, this will now last for 8 seconds and it'll be used every 5 seconds. So you'll have an overlap of 3 seconds where you get plus 70% power. Wait, no. Yeah, so you'll have 140% more power and you'll have 60% dodge, which is nuts. So if I just join a battle now, oh, I need to click this. All right, yeah. So if we join, let's say this battle, and then zoom in on this, so they'll use what? Why is this lag? What's going on right now? What was that? What was that indeed? Oh, it's when I'm zoomed in. I have to move the mouse for it to update. What? It's never done that before. No, it's not even moving the mouse. What? I don't know what's happening right now. And it's not printing any errors. It's like the game is running totally fine right now. And then I zoom in and it immediately starts. Something's weird. Something's really weird. I'm not sure what's doing that. Let me restart this. I've never seen that before. I've always used the OS level zoom and it's never caused a problem. And it didn't print out any errors and it's running totally fine right up until I use the zoom. It makes me think it's a Mac issue, but I don't know what that could be. If I just zoom here, does it happen? No, it seems fine. If I start a battle, was it having the skill tree up? Huh. Okay, well, whatever. I got sidetracked there. But let's see. So yeah, so here were the skills we had right now. I had some ideas written down. And I'm going to make a scratch pad here too. So ideas were all of these. Paste from Markdown. Yeah. And I guess just sort of general ideas. You could actually unlock skills themselves. Could have the rogue start with just Quick Strike, and you have to unlock Cloak of Shadows. I think that comes close to what the question is we had up here. Do we want only meaningful choices? I think there has to be some meaning and customization here. So we could go a couple different routes for this. We could have it be like the rogue has several builds and you pick one of them, or maybe like skill loadouts. and you pick one of them. So maybe you end up going with something like, I don't know, Quick Strike plus Cloak of Shadows. Maybe it's like Quick Strike plus Execute. And maybe it's there's some other thing like Knife Throw plus Execute. I don't like this idea. And I want to write down why. I don't like that idea in particular because I want each adventurer to be a small building block for the party. So the rogue should probably always have the same abilities and you just change them slightly. Also makes for less work and less balance work. But it also means less customization. But to explain what I'm talking about here, you will eventually have, well, I don't know, 12 adventurers or something like that. And when you're forming a party, chances are the max size is going to be 3 or 4 most of the time. So when you're picking, you're like, well, I know what the rogue does, and I need for enemies to die, whatever, quickly. I need some healing, and I need something else, a tank. So when you're forming your party, you're thinking on that level of what these building blocks are. I think if your rogue itself had like 5 different abilities and you had to pick 2 of them, then the battles they would just need to be more in depth, and they're just never going to be because of the automation. Yeah. Also, the nature of automated battles makes it less important for you to, or just makes your choices less impactful, since you can always just fight in any area that you know you'll win, or where you know you'll win. This has caused some problems already. I get some feedback and people are like, oh, my choices don't seem to really impact the battles. And I still think this is the core problem of any game with automation. And I will say this a million times, but I want to get everyone on the same page, at least for this stream. So automated battles mean that you can have a good enough battle going as long as you win. And as long as you win enough of the time. So let's say you win 60% of the time. Then what that means is you can just leave the game running for whatever, an hour, and you'll come back, and sure, you won't have as many wins as somebody else, but that's fine. And this all comes down to what is the difference between the like average efficiency, let's just say, versus the ceiling. And if it's less than like 5x difference, then players won't care about optimizing. And this is the route that a lot of idle games take. You end up doing like whatever, this much damage per hit. And when you're doing this much damage per hit, doing this much damage means that you're never going to win the fight. So you are very much encouraged to try to get closer to the ceiling that you can get to. But in Skeleseller, I didn't want it to be these sort of inhuman numbers. And as a result, the amount of efficiency you can squeeze out of a battle is maybe like an extra, whatever, 40%, let's say. And at that point, not many players are going to be encouraged to say, yes, I would like to squeeze that 40% extra efficiency, knowing that you can literally just minimize the game and it'll just play itself anyway, and you're fine. So I think since that tension is always there, it makes me want to design skills with that in mind. And that's actually what led to the current system. It was like, okay, let's give you some choices, but you're going to win the battles anyway. Worst case scenario, you could just fight in the level 1 area for like 10 hours and you'd still end up with as much money as if you were fighting in the level 5 area for 2 hours. So let's go back to these ideas, I guess. We could modify the abilities a little bit more. So maybe, yeah, instead of 4 of these, maybe you end up with like 10. Let's think about this. I want there to still be some synergy across the classes without you having to do anything. This is what a lot of idle games do, like 1 quintillion. And you have to think in terms of scientific notation to even understand how much you're doing relative to anything else. And the reason they use scientific notation is because that special factor of something being like 1,000 times is the important breakpoint for them. It's like I said, if your skill ceiling is 1,000 times higher than what your current skill is, you are very much encouraged to do better. But if your skill ceiling is 1% better than what your current one is, it's like, no, only the most competitive players are ever going to seek out that remaining 1%. Where are the skills that we have? Could we even do this? That's what I'm wondering. Where are class design? Here we go. The question I'm asking myself right now is, if we only had 2 skills for each character, would there still be enough flavor for those characters? And mage, yes. Rogue, yes. Warrior, yes, I guess so. Cleric, yes. Paladin, yes, we could. Witch Doctor, yes. Archer, yes. Okay, I guess they could. I don't really think it's a good idea, though. Is there any problem with unlocking skills for new characters? For example, we may balance classes such that the first few levels are really important, but when you have 6+ adventurers, it's assumed that the new adventurers will essentially start at level like 10 or so, due to how much money you'll have. It's like a 25% chance to win. Remember, a lot of the game right now is sort of based on this random number right here. Enemies all choose to attack between 1.5 seconds to 3.5 seconds, and when they choose once at the very beginning of the battle. So if you get enemies that attack every 1.5 seconds, then the battle is like twice as hard as if they were attacking every 3 seconds, and there's just nothing you can do about that. You just need to roll another battle, basically. Okay, so what's the fun in this, I guess? Because now I'm starting to question whether this is a good idea. Like, maybe we flesh this out a little bit. Man. These ideas were all for different classes, though. I wonder if we should come up with ideas for just the rogue. Yeah, let's do that. Rogue ideas. Because this is for the mage. This is for the warrior. Enemies can or execute X% sooner. After executing an enemy, activate Cloak of Shadows for X seconds. Quick Strike mod. What would it even be? Chance to attack another enemy. Quick Strike mod. Chance to steal life on attack. I think that since the battle system isn't too deep, that a lot of these mods are going to end up being kind of the same. Like every DPS is going to have, oh, chance to hit another enemy or chance to use another attack or something. There's another thing we could do. We could just cut down on the number of skill points you get in the game. And maybe also cut down on the number of skills you need to get. But at that point, haven't we just made a skill tree? All right, what if we... What if we expanded your existing skills into individual skill buttons and gave them different bonuses? E.g., right now it's cooldown minus X% each time. Well, I don't even know what the percent is, but I want to write that down too. We don't have it there because I closed the game. I don't know why I closed the game. All right, it is minus 10%. Yeah, pull that minus 10%. What if it were minus 3%, 5%, 10%, 20%, something like that? So that it gets more powerful as you go down the tree. Do something from 277. Which comment in particular? This one? The second one? Yeah, okay. Yeah, see, a lot of these are fitting into the same general categories I was thinking that most DPS would probably want. Things like life leech, attack more enemies, attack multiple times. Yeah, buffs, debuffs. I mean, it makes sense. That's what our battle system has, so that's what we need to use. And unless we want to add to the battle system, which I don't think is going to actually help anything. Yeah. I think this is the problem I have. I think maybe what we're going to do, maybe we should think of skill trees only in terms of fighting bosses. But even then, does that make sense? I don't think so. Very tough. Very, very tough. I kind of want to look at what some other games do. But then I'm not even totally sure why I would do that. Because I can still come up with what I want to have as properties for these skill trees. What's the fun of the skill tree? Yeah, how simple / complex is the system? Because anything we do now is going to add complexity. And I'm basing a lot of this on my friend's feedback that he gave right before checkpoint number 3. He played the game in a very unique way compared to what I'm used to. He did not like reading any of this stuff, and as a result, did not read any of this stuff. And then as a result, didn't know what the characters did, but didn't really matter because you put them into battle regardless, and they're gonna either win or they're gonna lose. And if they lost, then you change some stuff around. And if they won, then cool. You just keep repeating the same battle over and over. And after seeing that, it really, really proved to me that this thing about battles just need to be good enough is certainly the case. And if we wanted to affect that, I guess we could make it so that the optimization is required. But I don't think that will lead to more fun. We would either be... Well, we would need to add depth to battles, some number of the following. Add depth to the battles. What's the word? I don't know. Yeah, like make the difference between the floor and ceiling even more extreme. This is stupid. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think this is... Reading what skills do is really important, though. The thing is, though, it's not based on how the game is designed right now. My friend didn't have to read anything and could still win battles. And if you think about it, it's like, when does reading actually come into play? It comes into play when you hit a difficulty barrier that is too hard for you to overcome with simple trial and error. So now you need more complex trial and error, which should be informed by clicking these skills. And it's just not really how the game is set up, I guess. And I think that's what is eye-opening here. Extending to 10 points per skill at least. Yeah, I mean, it could be done. It's just, it is the point to change battles, point of skills to change. Well, if you had to pick one, is it more to change battles or to make the player feel like they're progressing. I'll say influence battles. Yeah. So, okay, here's the feedback points. Because I think it's important to see kind of why this happened. Feedback number 1 is the final instance is the most fun because it's the one that poses a challenge. And you can't just overcome that challenge by leveling beyond it. And you can't, you can't trivialize it, basically. And that's sort of like what Monadic Bind is saying here. And then the other feedback was that skills don't really seem to impact battles. This is the good enough problem that I talked about with automation, where you just need to find a battle you can win at least once and then turn on auto battle and walk away from your computer. So, kind of funnily enough, it's like, what's the point of having skills at all? If characters are going to be the building blocks, and I mean, I have an answer to this. It's some amount of customization and some influence over the battle. Oh, the other feedback is hard to tell if your skill changes are effective. The stats that are surfaced are somewhat simplistic. Duration of the fight, DPS, and life remaining. It's a lot of fun to really test out different builds, but I know that it tends to be an optional thing in games that aren't trying to be hard, like post-game battle areas. Yeah, I guess for those who played Super Mario RPG, there's a choice on every level up. Yeah, this. Okay, so I know it's a little grainy because I just took a picture off of search, but there are 3 choices you have. Max HP, you can see it's going up by 1 here. This is less than a 1% increase. Physical attack and magic attack. And I think there were also defense in that. So physical attack, defense, magic attack, defense. I don't think there was a way you could choose this such that you could screw the game up. These were like really tiny bonuses. And if you were min-maxing the game, yeah, there's probably a best path through this. But in general, does it matter if you got +1 attack this level or not? Not really. So here was a choice that just kind of made you feel like you were customizing your character. But they could have just removed this entire system from the game and given you no bonuses. And I think you still could have beaten the game and it would have been fine. So that's how one game chose to do it, right? That game was made in, I think, 1996. So it doesn't necessarily matter too much. But it's something else to think about here. Hey, Ogre, there's some battle complexity through party synergies already. For example, you kind of had to put points into healing on your healing character. When combined with the damage character, you can lean more into those anti-synergistic effects. Yeah, but that's the thing, right? The synergies through the party are what I thought would be the interesting part of the game anyway. Like, hey, your party is struggling to beat a particular location or a particular boss. Try a different party. And then, yes, you have some tiny levers that you can customize here, but they're not very important. So it kind of makes me think that maybe the skill tree as designed is really not that bad. Although maybe it could be presented in a slightly different way. The UI can definitely change. UI, I am totally fine changing no matter what. But as far as the actual skills and skill points themselves, oh, by the way, another idea could just be like do more damage on this attack or something like that, which I guess is power. You could actually unlock skills themselves. You could unlock stat boosts plus 10% power, and you could unlock stat boosts for individual skills plus 10% power for quicker strike or quick strike. There's a cost to respecking. I'd also have to read the abilities in more detail. Yeah, but the cost to respecking is just a speed bump to testing out different builds. If you have no reason to test out the different builds, then it doesn't matter if it's free or if it costs $1 trillion gold. And right now, I think the reason to test different skills is not really there. And I don't know if it's ever really going to be important, I guess. So I think it still helps for customization. But yeah, when keeping these 3 pieces of feedback in mind, it makes me kind of think of some things here. So maybe I'll add this to the questions. After thinking about the feedback, I wonder which like radical system change could be the best. What if we didn't have skill points at all? What if... Oh, that's actually kind of an interesting idea. Like, what if skill points were just randomly assigned? And you got... But if they were randomly assigned, you'd have to get multiples of your adventurer. So you need like 3 different rogues so you could pick which one you like better, I guess. But anyway, I might as well write that down. What if you could have multiples of each adventurer and the skill points were randomly assigned? This is a pretty cool idea, but it does change the game slightly, not even crazily. The multiples of each adventurer changes it the most because I have no idea what the balance would look like if you could have 5 rogues or something. That might be tough. It could also be fun. Could also be that now you're managing your actual adventurers. It's worth thinking about at least. You'd have to manage your overall party of adventurers. E.g., maybe you have 15 adventurers and you dismiss one so that you can get a better archer or something. Deal with payroll, yeah. So you have to at least think about how to beat the fight with different skills. So for that, what I was thinking is needing to beat fights or needing to like optimize should only happen for boss battles. And bosses can have gimmicks that sort of steer toward a build. So for example, imagine something like this enemy can only take 1 damage at a time. So this leads to lots of damage over time effects, lots of quick attacks. Maybe like haste is important for your party. So this steers you into a certain build. I like this idea. I think this is cool. Or same thing like boss. This enemy hits for like 3x the power of other characters or other enemies of the same level. And it's like lots of tanking, lots of healing, lots of other buffs for your party, buffs to mitigate damage. Maybe like debuff the boss to slow them down or make them miss. So I like this. I like this. This is almost like a little puzzle, but I like that you would only have to solve this for bosses, really. I think if you had to do this for every location in the game, again, you get to the point where you're like, well, I beat them once, so now I'm just going to automate the battle, or I've out-leveled them. So I think that's where the conditions will kind of come in. And I think that the skills themselves don't need to be conditional because it's like, oh, I can only take 1 damage at a time. Wow, perfect fit for the rogue and for the archer. They just shoot tons of attacks off. 1% extra power every 100 health. You're saying instead of skill points? If I take my reliable party and change the talents, it starts losing consistency. Yeah, there's just enough there right now. and that's what kind of makes me wonder, should we just kind of keep it the same? So where's those radical questions? Yeah, what if we didn't have skill points at all? What if you had multiples of adventures? What if we didn't make any changes? Or what if we made very minimal changes to the current system? Other fights can be easy enough, but maybe guide you toward the boss build. If you optimize those fights, you can greatly increase how fast you get items. Maybe. Yeah. And that comes down to what I keep kind of terming here, the difference between the floor and ceiling. So if you're winning, let's say 5 fights per minute, let's say this is like you right now, 5 fights per minute, and somehow you could know that the best possible builds could win 7 fights per minute, you're just not gonna wanna you're not gonna want to increase it that much unless the game was supposed to be played over 40 hours or something. Because then, okay, fine, those 2 fights per minute start stacking up, and you're like, oh, now it's taking me an extra hour to do something. Hey, Chris. Oh, just as buffs. Oh, okay, yeah. I want to stay sort of on topic here though, because I want to try to come up with what are we doing about skills, and I'm still not certain how I feel yet. And I think just the more I talk and kind of brainstorm here, the more we're going to get to something that I'm like, yes, that's it. That's what we need. And by the way, this might seem like a fruitless process. We might spend 3 hours on this, but this has almost always helped me in the past. So I'm pretty happy with how we've gotten the game so far, and I think we can make it better. Yeah. So anyway, the difference between the floor and the ceiling being this, I think that probably a lot of people are going to play this game semi-actively anyway, so that they're not going to be paying too close attention. And for the players who are paying attention, yeah, I think there should be skills. I think this idea of just what if we didn't have skill points at all, I don't like that idea. Because even if the changes seem superficial, they're not totally superficial. And we could make each skill point more impactful. We could make each skill point more of a power boost for that character. Instead of like plus 5% chance to crit, it could be plus 25% chance, which drastically increases the damage output. At least then you'd feel the change. I guess that's one of the issues right now, is that they're very incremental changes. So I think I'm leaning toward this. And putting everything into a tree doesn't really make a big difference, I guess, but it might feel different. So right now you have your 4 skills, like skill 1, skill 2, skill 3, skill 4, and they all have some number of skill points in them. So 0/5 points. Maybe this one's at 2 and this one's at 3. What if you laid it out again, like sort of in a tree? So you have skill 1 or skill 2, and then from there, this one goes down to another choice into skill 2, and this one goes into a choice into skill 3 or something like that. Like, it can be the same general system, it just feels a little bit different, but I'm not sure that's meaningful enough to matter. What kind of trees? Skill trees. Alternatively, maybe the items and enchantments are real knobs to turn for optimization. You get the items from earlier fights. For boss, you have to figure out what party members to use with the enchantments. Yeah, another reason to kind of still shift toward this idea of just making minimal changes to the current system. In fact, I have my friend's feedback somewhere. Where did I put that? My drive Ben feedback. I think it's in my Obsidian notebook that's private right now, so I don't think I can look at that on stream easily. But I'm trying to remember what he had to say about skills. He didn't like that there were 4 choices. He wanted there to be a simpler choice at the beginning. That's something a skill tree could definitely affect. Yeah, Ben had said that he wanted there to be fewer choices at first. Yeah, the skill tree can help with this, because I keep bringing up Diablo 2's skill calculator, only because it's just an easy thing to point to. But yeah, you pick any class here. At level 1, you have 1 choice in this tree. That's it. In this one, you have 2 choices, and in this one, you have 2 choices. So that at level 1, you have 5 choices. You can't put your skill points in anything else. And until you've unlocked these, then there are no other choices. And now I put 1 point into this. So if I were level 12, I would be able to pick between this. So yeah, I get more choices as I go up in level. And in general, in games, that's a good thing. Expose the complexity only when the player is equipped to deal with the complexity. Thoughts on keeping the 2-3 core abilities and the skill tree is increasing them similar to how they are now. So the skill tree is increasing points in the same abilities, and you choose which to prioritize, such that each path in the tree can only lead to fully level up one of them. Yeah, so I'll kind of cover, based on what I've talked about so far, I'm kind of leaning more toward just the current system that we have and maybe laid out in a different way. So yeah, I don't think I want you to max your character completely, but I want it to feel a little more satisfying maybe. You've seen Death Must Die. Every level you get presented 3 options of skills that may build on each other. I haven't. Is this a roguelike? Death Must Die. Yeah, it's a roguelike. Okay, yeah. I was going to say, for a game like that, it would make sense to have the randomization. In Skeleseller, I think if we have randomization, think about this in general. Every roguelite that you play that has randomization has a way of you then repeating those choices in a different way later. Usually, you do a run, you die, you come back, you get a different set of choices. That's how that randomness cannot feel bad. Whereas, if you were to play a game like, I don't know, yeah, just any RPG, I guess. Picture World of Warcraft. And let's say the choices are given to you, but you're playing this game over the course of like 300 hours. Then if 150 hours in, it picks a bad choice for you, you'd be like, oh, I don't like this. Like, I don't like this character anymore. And you'd want an option to re-roll it or to restart. So anyway, the whole point I was getting at is in this game, if we were to have randomly chosen something, so let's say you just randomly cycled, it's like, oh, here's your rogue, and it picked 2 points in each ability. You'd want a way to get a new rogue or to re-roll these skills. And I don't think randomness helps in this game. Not in that sense, at least. So yeah, minimal change to the current system. Okay, so you know what? I think what we can do, at least maybe as a starting point, is we lay everything out like a tree and we add in any extra little ideas, but they still just modify the same abilities. And maybe that's what we were thinking about originally anyway. But let's build that up a little bit. So yeah, what if we laid out skills in a tree and had a few more mods here and there for the skills? I'm not sure we want super powerful mods at all. I think making you choose between 2 things is interesting. It could be nice to have a fork in the tree that you have to stick to. Reroll the character to get different base skill points. Well, like I said, I could see a system. I know this is like only semi-serious, but I could see a system where we do randomly roll these and you have a reroll button and the reroll button costs you money. And it's like, we want a money sink in the game. That could be interesting. But I think the problem is you just keep clicking reroll, reroll, reroll. And you'd eventually get something where you're like, oh, good, finally, I got the rogue that I want here. And then sort of lock them in. There's actually, I think Path of Exile did this. I'm not positive, but I played a mod of Diablo 2 that did this, which was, what did they call this? They called it slamming an item. I don't know what the game called it, but that's what players called it at least, which is you had, I'm just going to make this up because I don't fully remember, but you had some item that you liked and you had a 25% chance to improve it, a 25% chance to destroy it, and like a 50% chance to do nothing. I don't remember the full system, but basically it was gambling on the item's existence. You could make it better, but you could also just fully lose it completely. And it was kind of neat because that made an item sink in the game. People who want the absolute best items are going to keep finding the best items, and then they have a tiny chance of making it better. Capstone additional ability, if you max it, you can only max 1 per character. Trying to think about this, because one of the things I think is that anything that lets you customize your character will add to balancing and just coding, because you need to add in all the customizations. Like, I like the general idea. I'm just not sure if it yeah, I still need to put some thought in this. I haven't actually come up with enough concrete systems. How long is the playthrough aiming for? I was originally talking about like somewhere on the order of 5 to 10 hours. My goal is still as long as the game ends up being fun for. And I'm guessing it's going to be more in the like 5 to 15 hour range now. I'm not actually even sure. The problem is we don't have enough content to be able to tell beyond what people are playing for right now, which right now it's maybe like 1 to 2 hours, but it's an alpha build. We don't have that much content. There were enhancement runes in Vindictus that had a chance to destroy the item on failure. That was fun. Yeah, and especially in multiplayer games, you need to think of what is the overall economy like? Because if you're flooding the economy with items, then it devalues all those items. So if you don't have an item sink where they can get removed somehow, then yeah, you'll just eventually end up with all the items existing. Just an idea trying to solve an issue you have with the skills not feeling exciting enough. Yeah. I think another way to make them exciting is to remove some of them. In fact, did I kind of write that down? I don't think I wrote it down here as an idea. Yeah. What if we cut the number of skill points by like 3x and made all skills 3x more powerful? I kind of like this idea too. Hey, Slate 10. Yeah, language is C# that I'm using for this. How much more do you want to lean into items in the game? One skill tree path could be better chance or accuracy at getting certain items. The items I think are going to be leaned into almost no matter what. I think if you have a character, so I thought about what if we added a thief character, and the thief, just by being in battle, increased the loot that was received. But then I thought, doesn't this kind of make it so that you always want the thief there, and it becomes like, how do I make them not be such a burden? Because if I can just do more damage on another character, I can win the battle faster and have a better chance at loot. So I've been hesitant to add that into the game. So same thing with skills. I think I'd be hesitant to give the rogue an ability like has a chance to drop an extra potion per fight or something. Kind of an upgrading system for item displays. I kind of make the items sell for more, destroy the display. We could, but I don't think the game is laid out for that right now. Like, it's very casual. So if you were to all of a sudden lose a display, you'd probably be like, what? Like, why did the game just punish me for making a choice? I think it works for games like Vindictus or Diablo or Path of Exile, where they're a little bit more kind of hardcore. Also help with balance by reducing the number of combinations. Skills? Yeah, I don't... So technically every character has 3 skills in the game right now. I don't think we're going to change that number. And the part that makes it difficult is you are forming parties out of these. So imagine if we said every adventurer has 4 skills, choose 3 of them. And then parties have 4 adventurers. So now I don't know how many combinations that forms, but think of how many different skill combos you can have. It still would be a lot. So I think just by making sure you only have always 3 skills, we still have a ton of combinations because you can still have 4 adventurers or maybe 3. Yeah. Ask me to go to WhatsApp. This is like the playbook for scammers. Well, 61 days. It's not 61 calendar days. I started the game back in April. So it's 61 stream days. Yeah, we've been working on Skeleseller since the 17th. Yeah, started the GitHub repo back then. And the other thing to consider is that the game doesn't, look super great. Like, this is our skill tree right now. It's just a bunch of buttons laid out that let you functionally control it, but it doesn't look pretty or anything. I was thinking of the skill tree. Oh yeah, the skill tree is totally separate. This is something that we could have for sure. More loot, better loot, more kind of everything. I'm pretty happy with how this idea is structured right now. We only have 5 skills. There's going to be more, but yeah. Yeah, a different phone number would suddenly contact you. Yeah. Yep, This is, it was already 95% certain this was a scammer before, but this brings it up to 100%. Well, I guess technically like 99.999. Can't be totally certain. It could be someone who's just completely oblivious. I think one time I rarely buy things online from other people. I buy them from companies usually. So one time I bought something from somebody and I think I said like, oh, hey, can I pay with PayPal? And they kind of got mad. And I guess that's what scammers did for whatever this was. I might be misremembering a little bit. And I was just honestly like, oh, it's easier for me. I don't have to bring cash with me. So yeah, I caused a red flag for that person. I was not planning on scamming them. How do you keep yourself going? All right, 2 simple functions per day, and I'm already exhausted. This is my primary gig, so that helps quite a lot. But also streaming helps a decent amount too, just kind of keeping me accountable. If you haven't tried it, try body doubling at some point, which is just, contacting a friend or having them over to your place or being on Discord together and just pursuing work and just separate work. It's not like you have to work with them. You're just working around them. That can really help too. But yeah, I think having some amount of consistency per day also helps. Yeah, okay, so going back to this idea, what if we cut the number of skill points by 3 and made all skills more powerful? So I want to kind of think about that a little bit more. Yeah, so what if the max adventurer level is 50 and that gives you a total of 10 skill points? So you get 1 point every 5 levels, basically. How would we change the skills? It would mean that you're getting roughly 5 times the power. So we need slightly more skills in the game. Oh, interesting. I guess. Yeah, interesting. Actually, I kind of like that idea. You know what else that solves is that you don't have to click as many times. Like right now, to respec, you gotta, click 5 times, click 5 times. Yeah, I actually really like this idea. And we could add in more skills as well. Okay, yeah. I feel like this helps quite a lot. So let me write the rationale so I don't forget this stuff. By having fewer skill points, the choices you do pick are going to be more meaningful. E.g., will grant, plus 50% damage instead of plus 10%. By having fewer skill points, you have less clicking to do. E.g., right now, you end up with, I think, 9 skill points? So to respec, you need to right click 9 times and left click 9 times. It's the same when you hire a new adventurer. You train them, then you have to click a bunch of skills. Yeah, I really like this idea. Like drastically cut down the skills. Now, there are some downsides to this, I guess, which is each level up doesn't feel as important. It's just the ones that give stats. But at least you don't have to make a choice for that. And we can make it very obvious when you do get the skill point. Yeah. I like this idea. I like this a lot. Most players will notice at least a 33% change in something. That's a pretty cool rule of thumb. Yeah. And that's another reason why something like this is a little bit tough. It's like we're increasing something by 2%. And when something like this happens, I mentioned this the other day too, but again, imagine this scenario. Enemy has 100 life and you deal 51 damage per attack. The way for you to kill, so you kill them in 2 hits, right? The way for you to kill them in 1 hit, you need to basically double your damage. And literally any amount of damage short of doing that is not gonna, well, not every amount of damage. I guess you don't need exactly double, but still, you get the idea. Almost anything short of that is effectively no change. Like you could get plus 80% damage and it would be the exact same as having plus 0% damage in this case. Now, most games also don't only have enemies with 100 life. Most games also don't have you dealing a static amount of damage per attack. But in this example, with these constraints, these are effectively the same. So I think that's another thing to keep in mind is like, okay, plus 2%. Yes, probably every once in a while it'll come in handy and you'll notice a difference, but most of the time it won't. That's why the text is, yes. And the reason why that's even the case is because the Cloak of Shadows buff has a to-do item saying to change the graphic. And Quickie Joe already designed the graphic. I just didn't put it in the game yet. Also, that graphic looks super cool. It's the rogue with a cloak over their head, and it looks awesome. I just haven't added it yet. This is choose 2 with extra steps. Do you think it makes sense to have low level and multiple skills versus highest in 2? I think it does make sense to have low level and multiple skills, because I think that way you're at least getting more of a benefit for those skills. And then I think we just need to add in a few more skills maybe. I think it'd be a good idea. Where was that? Yeah, this example. Like right now, in order to increase, let's say this, like crit, level 0 is 0%. Level 5 is, I don't know, points. Level 5 is 25%. So what if you just got one skill point in this? You just immediately jump to 25%. You definitely feel a difference if you did that. It's all down to balancing. Yeah, and it's also down to not having systems like that. Like this kind of game would be, I think, a little bit frustrating. By the way, the game that was closest to this system that I can think of is Phantasy Star Online. The end game came down to your skills always did the same damage, so you could know how many skills it took to kill each enemy. And it felt like you just had to level and level and level until you finally dropped that by 1. And it kind of felt bad. But yeah, the way most games work is that there are some other systems that let you interact here. So for example, let's say you got plus 80% attack, and then the enemy got a debuff making them take more damage, or you got debuffed and you did less damage, but it's still more than 0%. It's like all those systems interact such that there's some variance there. Answered yes, the question about investing tips. Called it. Yeah, so I think what I'm leaning toward, conclusion so far, leaning toward drastically cutting down the number of skill points you get. Well, maybe leaning so far. Drastically cut down the number of skill points you get, drastically improve the efficacy of those skills, and add a few more skills so that there are still choices. And lay them all out in a tree. I'm not actually sure that that part's important, because if there's no inherent ordering, then that doesn't really matter. Yeah, no need for a tree if there's no inherent ordering. Seems to me like having 100% in crit would be better than 25% in crit and 25% in attack speed. Defining the skills gets harder to make sure that putting some points into them is worth losing a maxed out one. Oh, but this is already the case, right? Technically, okay, so this is actually a really good example. Quick Strike has a cooldown of 0.4 seconds. And Quicker Strike says minus 0.04 seconds per level. And Crit says 5% chance per level to 4x the damage. The reason this is a really good example is if all you care about is damage per second, you can easily calculate which one is going to do better. So the first level of this is plus 10% damage. This is going to be 5% of 4, so this is plus 20% damage. So if all you care about is damage, then clearly crit is better. But at least the way the game's set up right now is you might not just care about that. Quicker Strike also has interactions with Execute, which says kill the enemy if they're at like less than 10% life. So maybe your other characters are dealing damage and bringing them below 10%, and you want to execute them faster, so you put a point into this. Maybe just whatever, there's some amount of like damage mitigation or something, or you're fighting the boss, I can only take 1 damage at a time. So yeah, I like that. I like that there's like a clear winner if all you care about is DPS. But if you don't feel like doing the calculation or whatever, you just like the flavor of something differently. Yeah. I'm losing it. I mean, there's almost no real excuse from the scammer's side for you to not have WhatsApp. If you have a phone and it can install apps, then they'd just be like, well, it doesn't matter that you don't have it. Go install it. Go set it up, right? Fall for my investment scheme. Add a few more skills so there's still choices. No need to retrieve. There's no inherent ordering. Yeah, I think I'm kind of leaning toward this. In which case, I don't think we really have a lot to do other than maybe design a few more skills for each of these and change the balance a bit. And I think this is at least a good starting point to try out. I wonder how many more skills we should add. I guess maybe we should answer the rest of the questions about like how many skills should there be? What should the max level be? 149.5 DPS. Nice. There wasn't that much modifying the skills going on. All had like 2 to 4 modifiers. I played a little bit of Diablo 4. I'm guessing there's a skill calculator online. Yeah. How do you move the... How do you pan this? What? I don't understand how you use this thing. Oh, you have to use the arrow keys? What? Oh, you can just scroll. Oh, I thought there was stuff to the sides as well. I forgot about how this was laid out. Yeah, so they had, what, 4 choices and each had 3 modifications, but you had to choose a path, so you couldn't have both of these, right? Yeah. They have 5 runes as modifiers. Yeah, but remember, these are games that are manually played. I think it does feel very different when you are fighting, swarms of enemies and you're like, does this feel better than this one? Or should I have gone with this build? Or should I try these different skills? It's like in Skeleseller, at least, these battles just play out constantly for hours on end. And you're not directly controlling them. People doing a manual playthrough, they can't though. They'd have to be playing Idle Ascendance and then not get the automation skill. It does sacrifice some complexity. Having to watch DPS closely and run multiple battles to even tell the difference. I think I want to try this just to simplify everything. And I do think the builds will feel different if you do this. And I think we can have nodes in the tree that are just like plus 10% power if we felt like being uncreative, I guess. And we can have modifications for your executability and stuff. Yeah. Anyway, I like this. Yeah. I get it. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to like nitpick or something here. There are some meta observations that I've had about all of the way that these conversations tend to play out on Twitch. Because I was doing this even back in the botland days. And I'd set out and I'd say like, okay, problem statement. Whatever, bots need to have 7 equipment slots. How does this work? And I'd get all sorts of things in chat. And I think just kind of keeping people on the same thread is good, which I recognize that's not necessarily what's happening here. I'm happy with how this conversation went, and I'm pretty happy with the conclusions. So yeah, I think what we need to do is answer some more questions here. I'm going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get back to answering the rest of these. So where I left off, answer questions, answer all the questions, yeah. And maybe plan some skills. I think this could be pretty good. Maybe even plan the layout. Okay, I will be right back. Is it jump time? It's jump time. Hello, hello. Close the game. Yeah, so need to answer the questions, need to plan the rest of this stuff. Let's take a look. Yeah, I was thinking about it a little bit on the break, and I think that like maybe implementing this for one character would be a good idea. I like this. Maybe try implementing it for just one character. See if it feels right. Well, where are all the questions we had? I'm going to put this down here. Also move this back up to the top. Okay. So do we want only meaningful choices? Essentially, yes. No small skills. What's the fun in the skill tree? So I think still customizing your character. I mean, I think that's inherent to every skill tree. Customizing your character, seeing a bit of a power spike. And is there any like anticipation for upcoming skills? I don't think that's there. There's no anticipation for upcoming skills. I think is another point of skill trees. To feel like you're working towards something. Boss puzzle pieces. You mean with the skill tree? I think any skill tree is going to feel that way, though. I guess they're always going to feel that way with kind of any of these things. So I'm not sure this question's even all that helpful. But I do agree with this thing that I wrote, which is a downside. There's no anticipation for upcoming skills. And we could still make this a tree. It could be that the first point you get for the rogue has to be either, you know, cut the cooldown by 50% or increase the chance of crit by 25%. Yeah, actually, that's kind of interesting. How many choices should we even have, first of all? I mean, I guess we have that written here. But we could address this by adding and ordering. We would just need enough skills for that to matter. They said nice. They're gonna lose interest pretty soon. How simple or complex is the system? I'd say pretty simple. How many skill points do we expect you to have? One every X levels. And we can just change X based on the checkpoint. So if the max level is 20, then X can be, I don't know, 3 or 4. The max level is 50, it can be 5 or 6. You're still doing one skill point per 5 levels. There could be something like allocating points into power, fortitude, HP. So you still get a skill point per level, but you have something else to spend your points on. But yeah, I don't think that choice is going to be meaningful enough. Hey, Spide Webs. Yeah, it's a corn keyboard. I like it a lot. Yeah, in fact, Diablo 2 had the ability to put stat points in, and it just didn't matter for most of the characters. Like almost all of them ended up looking the same. Also, that it is automatic right now, by the way. When you train an adventurer, these stats go up. It actually says it right there, I guess. Yeah, stats automatically go up as you level. And that way you felt like, okay, there is a reason to level up. Strength and vitality. Well, it was always like just strength until you can use your gear, and then vitality with pretty much every single other point. So yeah, I like this general idea. The downside, it may feel like you're just waiting for the big levels, but upside makes balancing easier. Any problem unlocking skills for new characters? This is less of a problem with this system because there's less clicking. Also, you don't have to unlock abilities. We could have an ability at the bottom of the tree for some of these characters. That's actually one of the nice things about this system. I feel like if each skill point matters, and if we're tracking which like tier you need to be in, we could always add some kind of mega ability at the bottom of the tree that makes you feel like your character has changed drastically. Usually the rogue could get, I don't know what the rogue could get. Maybe like, yeah, plus 20% loot from battles or something like that. Well, okay, here's what I'm thinking that I haven't written down yet, and I don't know an easy way of laying this out. So let's do one of these. Okay, so what if you had the first tier just had two choices, and then you had to unlock the next tier, which maybe had three choices. And in this case, it's choose one. Like in here, you have to choose one point to move on. And in here, maybe you have to choose two to move on. Maybe you could also pick one of the first ones again. And then your final tier has, let's say, like two choices for now, at least. Because we already have designed 4 skills, and this tree has 7 skills, so we need to design 3 more per class. So that's 21 new skills. So I don't want to increase the workload too much. Yeah, but anyway, this is what I'm thinking of. So it's still kind of a tree, but it's more laid out in terms of like World of Warcraft talents, I guess. Where's the... I don't know how the new ones work, so I'm just going to go with the old one. Yeah, something like this. Yeah. So the way this worked on the old one was you actually could put multiple points into things, but in order to get to the next tier, you need to put 5 in any prior tier. So if I put 5 into this now too, I unlock the next tier. So it's like you just need 5 points in the tree for this tier, 10 points in the tree for this, 15 for this, so on and so forth. But yeah, they had the concept of putting points into the same thing multiple times, which I don't think we're going to do. Non-skill point levels could also increase skill point cap, maybe. I'm not sure I understand that. Oh, I think I see what you're saying. You could put multiple points in the same skill. Maybe I don't understand. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't think I want to do that because then every skill needs to, well, it doesn't need to, but could have multiple points you put into it. Trying to think about this. Maybe that's another question we should have. Should you be able to put multiple points into the same skill? I guess I don't see why not. Maybe crit can be plus 25% slash plus 60%. Yeah, I don't see why not. But I think you should just be able to put multiple points in. Actually, do I think that? Maybe they could even be different tiers. Could even be separate skills in the tree. You want to instill an ordering. Tiers be gated every 10 levels, but you get 10 points to distribute. You can also limit the amount of points per tier. I don't want you to get a lot of skill points, though. So I'll draw what I think I want in a little bit. How do prerequisites work? I think I just want there to be like rows of skills, and to unlock the next row, you need 1.3 points. And that's it. Yeah. Probably 3 rows. I'll just write this out this way. There are 3 rows of skills. To unlock row number 2, you need to put a point into row number 1. To unlock row number 3, you need to put 3 points into any other skills. Only if we can't come up with something better. How many skill choices are there? Row 1, 2 choices. Row 2, 3 choices. Row 3, 2 choices. Something like that, maybe? How tall should the UI be? Well, now we have more of an answer to that. Yeah, okay. So how would that look? So essentially we have a table that looks like this. So choice 1, choice 2, and then column right, choice 3. I guess I could say row number. So this could be quicker strike. Let me shrink this table. This is gigantic. Yeah. So quicker strike, crit. This is just blank. Row number 2 would be, I'm just gonna write things out. We don't need to actually think about this. New mod, and row number 3 would be new mod, new mod. Okay. Yeah, so this is what I'm thinking about. Each skill tree would look something like this. Row 1, you need to just choose between 2 things. So pretty simple. This is, I think it'd be straightforward for new players. And then once you've put a point into here, you've unlocked row 2, and now your second point can either go into the skill you didn't choose or any of the new ones that unlocked. So that's your second point. Your third point needs to go into one of those abilities as well, but then your fourth point could go into one of the new ones or an old one. And then as we come up with more skills and everything, we can just tack them onto this tree. We could have it so that you can put multiple points in the same skill. In fact, that's actually a pretty decent way of balancing this. We already designed every skill such that there could be 5 points in it. So it shouldn't be that hard to divide this in 2 and change it to 2 points. I like that idea. And that would give you more of a choice as you go through this. Okay, you know what? I'm pretty happy with this. Yeah. Is there anything? And now you have the anticipation as well, because there is the unlock system. But the unlock system needs to be coded because we don't have this currently in the game. So we still need to think of the UI, and we still need to think of the skills. Need to think of the UI/layout, need to think of the skills themselves, and then implement this for one character. Maybe make a new skill tree. Or just don't let the tree work with anything other than the rogue. I'm trying to think of how this name. Oh, dist tag. Oh my God. All right. I kept interpreting it as I used iStag to play. And I'm like, what is iStag? Thank you for subbing. It's dist tag. Yeah. No, I know. I eventually got there, but it took me a lot of time. Did you change your name? Because I don't remember you. Yeah, huh? You might not have, and I'm just being dense. Yeah, skill table. Okay, so skills themselves, UI and layout. The other thing I kind of wanted to write is that I think the whole having multiple points thing is going to be important. Same as for, okay, yeah, my bad. All right, well, thank you. I used this tag to play. And welcome as a sub. So yeah, how many points would you put in each one? We could have it be that you can just, maybe all the skills have 2 points you could put in, it would essentially double the amount of decisions that you have to choose from. I kind of like that idea. Maybe most skills could allow for 2 points. Especially all the ones we have so far. You have unfinished business. Yeah, I might make that change. Plus, I think it would at least brand the channel correctly. Changing the channel branding to that of Skeleseller, e.g. the skull icon, a banner with the store page graphic, etc. Man, it's just always a little unnerving to make changes like this, because every decision you make for a game, you always have to ask yourself, am I doing the right thing? And there's no answer to that. You have to test it. And even then, like, maybe some players hate it, but more people love it than hate it. And the people who hate it are just more vocal, and it's hard to tell. Maybe you code some actual quantitative metrics and you find out player engagement has gone up somehow. I don't know. We don't have the ability to do that right now because we don't have a player base. All right. Well, I think these are my conclusions. So, yeah, I still want to work on these things. And I want to write this somewhere. I guess let's just write the whole design at the top. Yeah. Here are the conclusions. Actually, I'll just put this at the very top of the document that I settled on after doing this design. First point gives you 10%, second gives you 40%. Yeah. The only issue I might have with that is that you can get your second point in the first row with your very second point that you ever get. So your choice 1 could be quicker strike, and your choice 2 could also be quicker strike. So you could put both points into that. And then is that balanced? Like, would 1 point in stealth have been weaker? Does it even matter? I'm not sure. Just focus on cosmetics. You know, I think about it a lot more, that if I did put microtransactions in this game, it would probably be much more lucrative, but I think I'm still going to avoid them. I think the one thing I might be okay with doing, this is really stupid, but there'd be like Skeleseller base edition, whatever, $10, right? And then the collector's edition is $20 and comes with a golden skeleton. And that's it. Like, there's one purchase. You can leave infinite respecking it? Yeah. I think so. The order of skill unlock matters. Maybe crit is a row 2 thing. Yeah, and I could see that being the case too. That if anything is ever too powerful, we would just throw it into a different row. Yeah, the respec stuff I want to leave in for sure. It's one of those things where I just feel like at a high level, if a game is casual enough, it shouldn't really punish you for making choices. Or the punishment should be like very minor, right? Like, oh, you chose this, whatever, aesthetic over this one. It's like, oh, well, who cares? But yeah, I think there are definitely games, actually, even, I think, yeah, the way Diablo 2 started, there were no respecs whatsoever, which is especially bad for that game, because the only skills that were really worthwhile to get were the end game skills. So you had to just play your character in like a suboptimal way for 30 levels and then finally get the skill you wanted. Oh, I guess there also weren't synergies, so you had enough skills to get multiple. Yeah, nothing prevents characters from needing a 4th row too. Yeah, I think I like this system. I think it's got a lot of pluses to it. Should the choices you make here change the class's subtype? Well, I think there are a couple ways to interpret this. Is subtype anything more than just like a categorization? Or does it like change the graphic? Does it do something else? Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it would give you the ability to, yeah. I don't think so at first. Quickie Joe did design another warrior, and I think I shared it on stream. See if I can find it really fast. is it? Here it is. All right. So yeah, Quickie Joe designed another warrior and just said, "Oh, hey, here it is. If you want to use it, great. If not, don't worry about it." I think it's cool. I think we could add this into the game. I'm just not sure what would do it. Like maybe there's a purchase for it. Maybe there's a town building that you get, like a clothing store or something. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's really cool. I'm still not sure what would give you this in the game. Can't know what you don't know until you play through some. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I think this is just sort of a cornerstone of modern game design now, which is if you're going to have skill points or something in a game, you're probably going to allow for respecking, or games are going to be short enough so that you learn and you use that knowledge later. So like a roguelite that doesn't tell you and doesn't let you respec, that's fine. You get done with your first run after half an hour and you just choose different options next time. But yeah, something like Diablo 2 where you're playing the same character for like 40 plus hours and then you can't respec. that was a problem that they decided they wanted to change. Unique class items that change the color of certain skills. I think there are a lot of ways it could be surfaced. And you technically don't have to make a special character of every class. There could be just a special warrior and just a special mage, and like those are the two ones that you have. But I do think people would probably expect, oh, this looks cool. I want to see what all the special ones are for all the classes. Why not level up the characters with each skill point or with certain breakpoints in the game? They then change to look like more epic sprites. Yeah, a lot of people want that sort of thing in the game. And I mean, it would be cool, but I don't want to commit to that yet. And I think there are a lot of other things that would be nice to do first. Okay, yeah, so I want to write the design of all this up here. And I think what I do want to keep as a constraint is that maybe you only have 3 choices per tier. So if we ever decide you want more, then we just need to like extend it vertically maybe. So skills are bundled into rows like this. Row 1 is unlocked, is always unlocked. Row 2 requires 1 point to be spent. And row 3 requires 3 points to be spent in any other row. And we can always add more rows. So there's that. This is not letting me tab in the way I want to, because we need to do that. Yeah. Unlocking rows. Do I sound like a typical gaming community? No, I think typical gaming communities are much ruder. All right, what are the other things? Oh yeah, skills are much more impactful than they used to be. Skill points are rarer than they used to be. 1 every X levels, where X is probably 3 to 5. Actually, it doesn't even have to be every X levels. It could be on particular levels. But I think just every X levels is easy. Skills are much more impactful than they used to be, e.g. plus 50% instead of plus 10%. This is a hilarious little micro conversation. You work with C# on the day job? No, I work at the store. Dark is not a programmer by profession. There was something else I want to write here. Oh yeah. Skills could allow for multiple points in the same skill. Is there anything else I decided from all of this stuff? Yeah. So rationale for lots of these choices. I like bundling these here because later I'm going to be like, why did I do this? And I do have reasons for all of this, so I want to write it down. The rows allow for anticipation of later skills. You can envision your character getting more powerful and feel like you're working towards something. Now, there is no path through this tree. It's not like you choose choice 1 and it unlocks only these two. Whoops. It unlocks only these two. It unlocks the whole row. And that wasn't actually specifically a mindful choice, was it? Yeah, fewer skill points means all the stuff we said earlier. Yep, that's here. Choices you do pick are going to be more meaningful. You have less clicking to do. And it's the same when you hire a new adventurer. I ended up with 10 points at level 55 if I counted right. Yeah, I guess the problem with Fibonacci numbers though is that then toward the end you start feeling like, oh man, it takes 8 levels before I get a skill point. Oh, now it's 13 levels till I get a skill point. Did I ever show this on stream? Shining Soul 2 skill tree? Is there a picture of this? Yeah, oh man. I haven't seen this in forever. Yeah, so the way this game worked, you had these skills. So what is that? 8 skills. And the first level took 1 little pip here. Then the next level took 2. Then the next level took 3. Then the next level took 4 and 5. So to have gotten 5 skill points cost you 15 points. And then the problem is you'd be like, okay, well, I want the next skill. You had to wait 6 levels before you could get it. So it was much more likely that you just put, 6 points into these and you get 6 extra skills that way. It doesn't feel good at all, does it? No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. Especially, I don't remember if there was respecking in this game, but again, like let's say you were just like, I want to max out sword. You eventually start thinking, oh man, it's going to take me another, whatever, 10 in-game hours to get this 1 point, or I could get 3 other skills in that time. So, yeah. It was a pretty fun game though. And also pretty extensive for Game Boy Advance. Each extra level costs increasing souls, which you also get more from higher level areas. Yeah, I think that getting more makes it more amenable. In this case, it was just experience points, which led to skill points, which then you had to choose between all your other skills. And your overall power as your character probably increased better by just going breadth first instead of depth first. Okay, so not having explicit dependencies between skills is so that it's easier to balance. Wait, is it easier to balance? Maybe it's actually harder to balance. I'll say it's just because I don't think there is any inherent ordering between the skills. It allows for some flexibility. We can always increase the number of skill points, increase the max level of any particular skill, add more rows, etc. By intentionally having cross skill talents. Oh yeah, that's right. They're the only one, I think. Or no, they're not. Maybe. I don't know. No, maybe they are the only one. I was going to say the cleric, but the cleric doesn't actually do that. But yeah, venomous bite actually takes lethality into account. Does anything else do that? No. I don't think so. Yeah. Matt really knows the game. Yeah, as of checkpoint number 3, the witch doctor is the only one with a that like maybe would have an ordering. And what are they called? Venomous bite takes lethality into account. Venomous bite takes lethality into account. So when are you adding cards in the game? Tomorrow, definitely. Yeah. Let's see if that's in the tomorrow command right now. Yep, it is. Oh yeah, and then we need to add a few skills, and we can modify the class defining ability finally. This is going to be big. I just like the idea of execute is right now like kill any enemy at 10% life or less. It's not actually that, but anyway, imagine if you got something that was like improved to 15% or 20%. These are huge changes, and I think that would be a lot of fun. I think it could be like an end of tree skill. These would probably appear toward the end of the tree. Is just you and Ars working on this project? Check out the credits command. So just by me saying this, it should type it in a chat for you. There you go. And then you can see there are 3 other people working on this right now. So yeah, Darkstorm, Quickie Joe, and Ski. Dota 2 Axe's ultimate ability? Possibly. I have not played Dota 2. I hate Fled. Anything else we have in here? I don't think so. Yeah. Okay. I already have the design doc listed in there. So now think of the skills themselves. Let's just do this for the rogue. I just want to design the rogue. We have 4 skills already, so we need 3 more. And we had some ideas here. I like this. I think this is pretty good. I don't like this. I don't think this really fits. Chance to attack another enemy is bonkers. But actually, that doesn't make sense. There wouldn't be another enemy. It would be it'd be the same enemy. Doesn't really make sense since Quick Strike always targets the enemy with the lowest life. Also, dealing more damage is the responsibility of crit. Stealing life on attack, I don't really think that makes sense. I think maybe something like a damage over time could make sense. Maybe more interactions with Cloak of Shadows. Execute an AoE would be busted. It actually wouldn't really make any difference because Quick Strike always targets the enemy with the lowest life, and it works every 0.2 seconds when it's fully upgraded. So to target 2 enemies would just mean that you're potentially saving 0.2 seconds, which wouldn't be a big change. Yeah. Yeah, I think a damage over time, I don't know. Well, I guess the damage over time, though, would always be attacking the same enemy, too. Cloak could make enemies break the reference of the current target. What does that mean, Dark? They don't lock onto a target right now. I'm trying to think. We could do something loot-oriented. Like plus 10% loot from battles. Is it always random? Yeah, it's always random. Yeah, basic attack is just get an enemy target. And the get an enemy target is just pick a random thing from here. And as long as nothing is taunting, then it won't. Taunt makes it not random, but that's pretty obvious. But yeah, otherwise it's just totally random. And I guess that's right here. Yeah. Targets that sample and redirect targets that sample. Otherwise the actual targets that sample. Okay, I am not totally sure what the rogue should have. I guess what we should do is we should look into the generic abilities that we had here. Ability ideas. Yeah, this. R3 of the final instance. My archer would go from 100 to 0, very close to it. Yeah, that's just luck. Yeah. Could cloak mean that there's a chance the enemies won't see? Therefore, it takes less damage over time. Cloak currently increases your dodge percent, so it effectively works that way. But I guess the difference would be the rogue in a one-on-one match. If they couldn't be targeted, it'd be very, very powerful. What about abilities that interact with the enchanter mod? That is very dangerous. I'd rather it be the other way around, that enchanter mods interact with the abilities. So for example, add damage, add life leech, add whatever, chance to do the ability twice. I think if it were the other way around, then one, you would know from the very beginning of the game that the enchanter exists in the game, which is not a big deal. But also you'd have to start thinking of what those interactions are going to be. Oh, there could be something here like deal more damage to enemies with high health, which is a bit curious because the rogue has execute, which makes them kill enemies with low life, and they have quick strike, which makes them target enemies with the lowest life. So then dealing damage to enemies that have high health would be a way of chipping them down faster, but in party battles it might not matter. But I kind of like that idea. At least it fits in with the theme. Kind of like more damage. So that is probably going to be a different class altogether. I think something like the warrior could definitely deal with that. Although the warrior should probably increase their defense based on missing life, which is another cool idea. Let's write that down. Increase defense based on missing life. Yeah, the warrior are finally going to get to that at some point. Yeah, the rogue could also kill your own adventures. Yeah, and I think just take the loot for themselves and uninstall the game, but you don't get to refund it. I think those would be good skills to have. So I like these two, and we need a third one, right? Yeah, because we have these 4 already. So we need one more. I think a damage over time would make sense. What were the other ones that I had here? I don't think any defensive stuff makes sense for the rogue. Oh, there could be something like every time you dodge, do something. What would this something be? Another attack? Kind of weird that you'd be countering. Rogue should cause bleeding. Well, the damage over time, but I haven't put a star next to it yet. I was just debating on it. I think it does make sense. But you'd be damage over time. You'd be doing this to the target that always has the lowest life. So I think it would make it less interesting. Is there stun or stumping mechanism? There's a stun mechanism. Stun is like ultra power. Excuse me. Stun is ultra powerful though. So we got to be very careful with doing that, especially on a character that attacks 5 times per second. It would be kind of interesting. Or can also cause them debuff. Poison lowers attack speed on enemy. Oh man, the rogue is gonna be like the ultimate class. Evade could just apply the damage over time. It'd be like, what would the theme of that be? What would explain you causing damage when you evade? Maybe like a counterattack, I guess. A riposte, yeah. What is the official definition of riposte? Quick, clever reply. Quick return thrust following a parry, yeah. Frustration debuff. Yeah, poison. The thing is, we have poison in the game. We also have poisonous skin in the game, which is when you get hit, you deal a damage over time. Yeah, emotional damage. Vicious mockery. Could be a blind instead of a damage over time. I think of all these things, I think I'm leaning toward this. Damage over time, like bleed. You have chance on attack to cause a damage over time, yeah. Although maybe the quick strike part of this, it's quick. So you're doing many attacks. What if something could happen when you have multiple of these? I guess you'd get multiple no matter what. So it's not like that's special. Starts small but stacks with every hit. Yeah, but remember you're applying like 5 of those per second, right? Have any that slow enemy attacks? We could, yeah. Yeah, we could definitely do that. It could say like slow enemy attack speed, and that's been suggested too. And maybe it could be this on dodge. You dodge and then the enemy's attack speed is slowed. Could debuff the enemy with confusion, i.e. slowed attack speed. Stacks to give specific attack types a chance to miss or fail. Every time they get hit or when they dodge. I think the issue is, okay. Think about this. We've got just these skills, right? So now this new mod would be like improved execute. This one would be, what is the one? Deal more damage to high enemies, like, I don't know, pierce armor or something like that. And now you have this, which we're saying is something like a counterattack. Would you pick this? Like, you've gotten your rogue to level 40 or whatever, and you finally unlocked the ability to get this. I think you'd probably go for just dealing more damage. So I think everything should kind of be in that same category. Put a stack on the enemy when you reach 5 stacks. Next attack causes extra damage. Okay. Something here's an interesting thing. I guess something that makes the enemy take a little bit more damage with that stacking concept. So debuff that stacks, and when it hits a certain amount, the next hit causes extra damage. And maybe this could stack with crit. This could be super powerful, but I like this idea. I think I want to go with this. You think you can only give a choice of more damage or a choice of less damage to self? Well, the thing is, I don't think you'd be picking the rogue for the ability for them to do something when they get hit, because probably toward the end of the game, you're going to have a tank. But what is it? Cloak of Shadows exists, but that also improves your own power in addition to increasing your dodge. So I think I like this idea. Yeah. And I don't know how we make this work exactly. Next hit causes extra damage. So the next hit from any party member, though. I think that's the key thing here. Okay. Makes sense to increase damage on enemy for class fantasy. Yeah. So, okay. So I think we've got the 7 skills that the rogue has. And I think that's probably what we'll start with, is by implementing those. And yeah, I like the idea. Having a survivability path can be interesting for soloish builds. There's a reason to make a hero work in a party or work on their own. I think there can be reasons to make them work on their own, but I think something that needs to be kept in mind for all of this stuff is the concept of the good enough battles. If you have a rogue, and let's say you just fully optimized for damage, you put points into this stuff and nothing into this. So I've just maxed out the offensive stuff. And then you find the dungeon or the location where you can win without dying. So, okay, we're dealing damage here. We just killed that enemy, killed that enemy, killed that enemy. Now it goes to the next phase, and we're going to win this too. So it's like, as long as you win with more than 0% life, you'll heal up to full, and you'll just repeat the battle, and that'll be that. And that's why I don't think for solo-ish builds, they need to be able to take on like a regular level dungeon. They just need to get some extra money for you. And I think that's part of the fun of this game, is like, you probably have a main party you're trying to optimize and figure out like, oh, how do I beat the boss? But then while that's going on, you just start another battle and you're like, oh, well, the archer's not doing anything. Let's send them to the forest. And you send them to the forest and they win that fight and they earn you some more potions and stuff. And you might as well be earning some items. And then of course you tack on auto battle. Yeah. Extra powers based on the amount of missing party members. The thing that would probably make the most sense for that would be a summoner class. So maybe the witch doctor. You could say like, when the instance can have extra party members and you choose not to, you summon zombies twice as fast. Actually, I'm going to write that down because that's a pretty decent idea. When the instance allows for more party members and you choose not to have them, you like summon zombie as a lower cooldown. Note, this is probably going to have to be an extra skill since many players just may not want this. By the end, you're going to need to have a preset system where you can switch between adventurer builds. I'm hoping to avoid that, but yeah, if that needs to happen, in my mind, that's like a small UI thing that needs to get added on, as long as the system's fun. Does it increase the max number of zombies? Technically, yes, because you'd be summoning them faster, and that's the only thing limiting you is that the zombies just die too quickly. Seems you want to switch adventures between configs, which I think isn't necessarily what the loop is about. Excuse me. No, there is no hard cap. Yeah, you could just have as many as you can sustain, which is limited right now because they all die on their own. Okay, well, as far as designing the skills, I think we can do this some other time when I'm tired because I don't think that takes a lot of effort. So for now, we got the rogue skills. I think that's pretty good. We should probably move some of these other ideas into a place where I'm going to notice them. Where did I put them? Here, yeah, ideas. Okay, so let's copy a link to this and put it here. Come up with other skills, some ideas here. Excuse me. Yeah, now we need the card drafting UI. Well, we're going to get to that tomorrow. What was a boulder ability for? Some debug thing? Yeah, it was a debug thing. It was just an ability that targeted many different enemies at once. Which, does anything do that in the game right now? Lightning Zaps doesn't really. It can potentially target the same thing. Wait a second. Is there anything that does that? The Rogue definitely doesn't have it. Mage doesn't have it. Warrior doesn't have it. Cleric doesn't. You don't have it. You don't have it. And you only have forked arrows. Yeah, nothing has it in the game right now. Yeah, well, we're going to have to add that at some point. Yeah, the boss stuff, though. Okay, here's how I suspect the boss battles are going to work. Is that you're going to need to do a different party composition, not necessarily different skills. That's my guess. I don't know for sure, but I bet if you figure out what this sort of desired party composition is, that maybe you don't need to tweak the skill so much. Then again, I guess that would represent a failing on the game's part. It probably should require skill composition to change. I think a good question to ask now is, we just sort of redesigned the rogue a little bit and we came up with some different abilities. What is this one? Not counterattack. This is the, like, I'm just going to call it pierce armor. And oh wait, there are two different ones that pierce. What do we call that one? I don't know. I don't know what we call this. Anyway, pierce armor 1 and pierce armor 2, because I'm not coming up with names for right now. Anyway, we came up with this. I'm pretty happy with this. The rogue seems pretty good. Are we confident that we could do this for every class now, knowing that all of them already have 4 designed and we just need to come up with 3 extra ones? And I think just my gut feeling says yes, I'm pretty confident that we could do this. I don't think there's going to be some major problems. When we look at a class like this and we think, how could we improve this? We could make it like, I don't know, Fireball can hit multiple targets or something like that. And we look at the Warrior and we think we can do something with counterattack, and Cleric can get some more damaging abilities, something like that. Get yellow letters with this message. This inspector might be out of date. Any clues? All you need to do is build. All that's saying is that the editor can't tell that you have modified code, and there might be something in here that is out of date. So as soon as you just click this wrench at the top, or hammer, I guess, you click the hammer at the top, it will remove that white thing or yellow thing that you see. Okay, so then I'm not too concerned with this. So the UI and layout is the last thing that I think is pretty important. And I am really bad at this. So we got to keep a lot of the same elements we have. We need the character picker. We need to show their stats, and we need to show their skills. And we're going to assume for now that their skills that or their abilities that they have don't change. So I think we want to show the abilities you have unlocked. Still need to show character, picker, level, stats. Show the skills each character has, which is always 3. And then show the skill table. And probably put this into a scroll container. And need to show all of this stuff in a more like centralized view that has the focus, not just some window off to the side. Okay, yeah. All right, I'm very happy with this. I think this represents quite a lot of work. Like this will probably take the entire week. And not because of the UI, but because we got to design 21 extra skills. Oh, that just seems so daunting. Like once you've come up with them, they're not too bad. But it's not trivial. Yeah. Hey, for Crimson. Yeah, one at a time. I mean, it's true. And really, I have a set of tenets I want to follow. And the most important one, I feel, well, second most important one is bricklaying, which is you just got to keep putting down a brick at a time on this brick wall. And unlike a real brick wall, you don't know how many bricks it's going to take. But each brick is a notable amount of progress. All right, let's close all these things and let's probably get ready for lunch at this point. I don't think I want to start anything new right now. But yeah, this afternoon, what I want to do is get the UI pretty close to done. I'm not going to do the final UI yet. We're just going to get something that is passable. That's it. Oh, and they need to explain how you unlock later rows. And right-clicking a skill needs to subtract points from later rows according to the row unlock rules. Yeah. Other answers will probably start to appear. Yeah, and I think that's what's nice about really how all this stuff has worked so far. It's like the newest feature we added to the game was the enchanter. And I did this based on what I think makes sense for right now. So you drag a potion on here, you end up getting a buff for a minute. People might use this and be like, yeah, this is good, but, and then give me some suggestion I just never would have thought of. And I'll be like, yeah, that is a good idea. By the way, the more I think about how this system works, the more I think it's maybe not enough of a cost to just put one item there. But let's wait and see what the feedback. Hells, I'm just going to skip it. That'll teach you. When am I implementing the Mason adventure? What do they make? Are they a stone mason? Are they a cult? Am I? Yeah, I think I'm thinking of it correctly. They lay bricks. I see. I've lost my own context. Yeah, they're a brick mason. All right, well, anyway, it's noon. Or at least I think it's noon. Why is my time thing not working yet? 12:02. How long have I been online for? Yeah, actually, wow. A lot longer than I thought. 3 hours and 22 minutes. So I'll go take lunch, and then we'll work on the UI this afternoon. And I think the rest of this week will be spent making other skills. Yeah. What was the thing you learned this time? I think a lot of this is solidifying the design experience. Like, I think I've gotten better at coming up with fruitful conclusions through design streams. Because originally I felt like I was floundering. This is years ago. I felt like I was floundering. I would just be like, there's a problem. How do we solve it? And I'd spend like weeks, I felt. Now I think we've gotten more efficient at it. It's kind of better. Okay. Thank you all for watching. I will see you hopefully in an hour. If I don't, have a good rest of your day. And we'll keep working on skill stuff later. See ya.